made it through another week. I've almost made it through another week. We've almost made it through another week in Brian Shapiro's kitchen. Glad you could join us. A lot to get to, a lot to go over today. I'm actually really excited about the guests we got today. We're going to have a really good time. Really smart guy. If you've heard, and again, this isn't what's on everybody's mind, and I understand that. But we're going to talk a lot about Mayor Carolyn Goodman. We're going to talk a lot about the coronavirus. Really smart guy. One of the best poker players in the world, and he has been for quite some time. The World Series of Poker has now been postponed. I'm not sure that's ever happened in the history of the tournament. We'll talk to Daniel Negreanu. Real Kid Poker coming up in hour number 2. Hour number 3, I love this guy. Really funny guy. We remember him way back in the day when he was married to Roseanne Barr. Super funny guy, and at a time where all of us really need to laugh. Actor, very funny guy. Tom Arnold will be joining us in hour number 3. What is Tom Arnold doing to pass the time? That's what I want to know. And then Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports will also be joining us in hour number 3. So we're going to try to mix it up a little bit here. Obviously, we want to have a good time. We want to make people laugh in a very difficult time, but we also have to bring to you, the news, the latest news, what's going on in the world. That's also part of what we do. We try to do a nice mix of that on this show. And I want to start by talking about, the pink elephant in the room. We had Mayor Carolyn Goodman on the show Monday. And let me just start by saying this. I think this is important for me to say this. My relationship with the Goodmans. I've known Oscar Goodman for over a decade. We've been friends, been on good terms. I've had a drink with him a few times. Super nice guy. I love Oscar Goodman. I think he's a good dude. I thought he was a good mayor. I supported him. And I will always say that about Oscar. I don't know Carolyn Goodman as well. I've obviously, being a reporter and being in this town for 20 years, I've had plenty of situations where I've interviewed Carolyn Goodman. And I'll say this, she's always been nice to me. She's a very sweet, nice lady. I think she's kind-hearted. I think she cares about the city just as much as her husband does. I'm going to say that flat out right out of the bat. I really do think she's a nice person. And trust me, if you listen to this show, you know I don't always say those things about all politicians out there. Carolyn Goodman is a nice lady. With that being said, the things I'm about to say and the things we might say here over the course of the next few hours, at least I'll speak for myself, it could hurt my relationship with the Goodmans. It could. But I am not going to sit here on this show and not be honest. In 20 years of doing radio, I've always been honest on the air. That's not going to change today. And, sadly, if the Goodmans think I'm disrespecting them, that they're entitled to their opinion, but I have to speak the truth. And the truth is this. And by the way, we're broadcasting live on YouTube, the Vegas Take as well. And I'm holding up a picture of the front of the Review-Journal, the newspaper. And it's a picture of Carolyn Goodman and a picture of Anderson Cooper with his hands over his face. Probably not a good look for Las Vegas. And we'll explain, at least I'll explain why I think he did that. Carolyn Goodman did an interview yesterday on CNN. As you know, she's been making the rounds. She was on MSNBC the day before. She's been making the rounds. She's been doing a lot of interviews. Now, up to that point, before the CNN interview, I'd say, well, she's done all right. She's giving her take. She's giving her side, even though I completely disagree. She was on our show on Monday. But she did not do herself any favors in this CNN interview. It made national news, so much so that CNN had Governor Sisolak on, Dina Titus, who's been on our show a bunch of times. She was on CNN yesterday. All reaction to the Mayor Carolyn Goodman interview. She said some pretty wacky things. And I'm going to say this right now, and it's my opinion, with all due respect. I think Oscar's a really smart guy. I do not believe Carolyn Goodman is a very smart person. Now, I'm just going to speak the truth here. And if that hurts my relationship with the Goodmans, so be it. I don't think Carolyn Goodman is a very smart lady. And I'll explain why. I have my reasons. We're going to play a lot of audio from this interview on CNN. But, she basically said she was willing to use Vegas as a placebo, pretty much as guinea pigs. She said that in the interview. She's calling for all these places to be open. Well, instead of me talking about what she said, let's just start by playing some of the stuff of what she said. This is Carolyn Goodman on CNN with Anderson Cooper, talking about the opening of casinos, stadiums, and conventions. Have a listen to this.
You're talking about encouraging hundreds of thousands of people to come to Las Vegas.
Right.
I get the financial losses people are suffering, which is awful, but you're encouraging, hundreds of thousands of people coming there in casinos, smoking, drinking, touching slot machines, breathing circulated air, and then returning home to states around America and countries around the world. Doesn't that sound like a virus petri dish? I mean, how is that
know
safe?
what it sounds like? You're being an alarmist. I'm not. I've lived a long life. I grew up in the heart of Manhattan. I know what it's like to be with subways and on buses and
I'm being an
crammed into
alarmist?
elevators. I think you are by saying what you have just said.
Okay, so she doubled down on that, and she basically said tomorrow she is okay with stadiums, professional teams, she mentioned that, being open right now. I'm not sure there's one logical person that would agree right now that the fans are allowed to be in buildings and the NBA, the NHL, and all these professional teams should get going. That's what she said on the show. She doubled down on that, and she talked about our professional teams. That is ridiculous. I haven't heard a Republican say that. You hear a lot of people on the right that say you want to open up the economy. That's fine.
Well, you just did.
But yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's not one. I know you don't believe that. Do you believe that every professional sport with fans should be going on right now? Do you think the Vegas Golden Knights should have 15,000 fans in the T-Mobile Arena? And that's what That's what Carolyn Goodman thinks.
You know, based on what I've read just about the mortality rate, I wouldn't be totally against that, but obviously right now with what's going on, with how the general thought process across the entire country is that is not acceptable at this point. I don't think that you could get people in that position. I don't think that even if you opened up everything, just like if you opened up the Las Vegas Strip, I don't think that tomorrow you would actually be able to make any money because you would just be paying all your employees and there would be no revenue coming. I think the same thing would apply for sporting events right now.
And I understand the money aspect of it, but I'm thinking, as I always do, I'm thinking more of the health aspect of it. And I'm telling you right now, there's not one scientist or doctor that believes that every professional sport should be going on right now. And our mayor would be totally okay with that. I think that's very dangerous rhetoric, and especially when you're on national television. If she wants to have that conversation with her husband or in private, I disagree with it, but that's fine. To go on national television, when, by the way, you don't even have the authority, and to say something like that is so irresponsible. But she went on here talking about social distancing once things get back open. Have a listen to this exchange.
So you don't believe there should be any social distancing? You don't believe that this is
Of course I believe there should be. Of course.
How do you do that in a casino?
That's up to them to figure out. I don't own a casino. I don't know anything about building
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. You're the mayor of Las Vegas, and you want casinos to be open, even though you have no authority, thankfully, over casinos. But you say open them up, but you have no responsibility about how that would be done safely?
No, you're blurring. No, you're blurring.
You said it's not your job.
There. I am not a private owner of a hotel. I wish I were. And I would have the cleanest hotel with 6 feet figured out for every human being comes in there.
First of all, her comment about a clean hotel, I would have just really bizarre. Is she on drugs, number one? Number two.
She's 81 years old.
Number two, well, you don't make that excuse when Donald Trump says idiotic things. He's in his 70s.
72 and 81, there is a major difference there.
Okay, well, then don't be the mayor. It's very simple. The bottom line here is she's saying the casinos should be open. And Anderson Cooper asked her a very logical question. How do casinos practice social distancing? Well, the answer is they can't. If you're going to open up table games, you're sitting a foot or two away from somebody. Craps, basically every casino game, even slot machines, they're a foot or two away from each other. You can't practice social distancing if you open up a gaming casino. You just can't.
Oh, yeah, you can.
How?
You've seen
How?
You've been to the casino. I mean, they move those machines around so fast. They have so many workers that can do those type of things.
How can you have a table game?
Well, a table game you probably can.
Okay.
You could probably have 3 or 4 at the craps table. You could probably have that. You could have slots specifically spread out.
Wait, hold on a second.
You could have the start of it because you could probably play roulette. You could have the start.
People are not 6 feet away from each other playing roulette.
Okay, if
They're
you
just
have,
not.
I'm saying it would
the
have.
Table's what? 10 feet?
It would have to be.
15 feet?
It would have to be one-on-one, most likely with roulette.
A casino would never do that. You're paying, first of all, if you have one player per table, it's not worth the casino, if you want to talk about financials, it's not worth the casino opening up a table game if you can only have one person at a table. It's not. You think these strip casinos would do that? Of course not.
No, but I think they could definitely do it with slot machines. I think
6 feet apart.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you think
you could easily? I mean, you've seen some of these casinos. They have massive grounds.
So you think if you're Steve Wynn or a casino owner, let's not open up any of the table games. Let's cut our slot machines down. And by the way, if you're going to put slot machines at 6 feet apart, you're going to have to get rid of a lot of the machines that they have.
Well, not get rid of them, but you have to move them. I mean, they're still going to keep the machines.
So you think
they're just
that's
move
doable? That's going to
and
happen?
You know that slot machines are where the casinos make the most of their money, right?
Not all the time.
I mean, they make a little bit.
Not in every casino.
You could still play blackjack, I would say.
How?
If the dealer had gloves and a mask on, you could play that.
But how could players practice social distancing?
Well, it wouldn't be a 3 or a 4 or a 7-person table. It would be a 1 or a 2-person table. That's how it would work.
And again, I'm telling you,
again,
in my
so
opinion,
what I'm saying, the casino can still stay open. And again, you're not factoring in that these casinos make a lot of their money on the slot machines. I mean, people, roughly 99% of people who play slot machines long-term lose.
I'll make another bet with you on the air right now that doesn't happen.
Okay, it's fine.
I mean, I'll bet whatever you want.
I'm not interested in making a bet. I'm just interested in expressing my opinion, Brian.
Okay, and I'm telling you that I'm telling you I disagree.
My opinion
100%.
is not overpriced right now.
Okay, well, I'm telling you 100% that's not going to happen. There's no way that the strip casinos are going to say, well, let's only have 1 or 2 people per blackjack table. Let's move our entire casino around and try to figure out how to put 6 people apart at slot machines. It's way too much work. You're not going to get the clientele. You've even said that if they open up the strip. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think it's worth it for them to do it, number one.
No, I don't think – I agree it's not going to take place, but I think it is feasible. Now, down the road, once there's 15 or 20 states open, then that conversation changes. But then, right now, you got to realize what's going on is the whole entire narrative of this, it's changed. It's no longer flatten the curve. It's eradicate the virus from the face of the earth. We can't open up until just like Anderson Cooper's little picture where he showed the Chinese restaurant and he called Mayor Goodman ignorant. And he said, "Well, one person can infect 9."
Okay, we'll get to that.
Well, if that's the case, then technically we can't open up anything anywhere until the virus is eradicated off the earth. So
I have that audio.
I have a real problem with what's going on with how it was low. Let's flatten the curve, and now it's like wait. Okay, so the curve is flattened. Now let's eliminate the virus from the planet. Otherwise, nothing can open. Doesn't matter what happens to jobs. By the way, we're up to 26.2 million people that are unemployed. Doesn't matter what kind of economical damage we have. But if we can't get this virus off the earth, nothing can open. I have a huge problem with that.
Okay, so I want to try to focus on the cuts that we're playing,
Sure.
one cut at a time. We're going to get to that cut, and when we do get to that cut, I do want to get your opinion on that. But I want to focus on what she's saying, one cut at a time, if we can. So this next cut, she talks, and this is where I have a serious problem. She talks about competition in the free market in regards to the coronavirus. This is where it starts to get really wacky. Have a listen to this.
Okay, you said in another interview, you said, quote, "Let the businesses open. Competition will destroy that business if, in fact, they become evident they have a disease, they're closed down.
Oh, yeah.
It's that simple."
Yes.
Do you stand by that? Because it would take weeks, as I think you probably know, before anyone realized a place was a epicenter of viral infection. I mean, that it would take weeks for that would actually to show up. You're comfortable with that?
You're a very good interviewer. I've watched you for years, and you're wonderful. And I'm not going down that road. I am sticking with what I'm asking for. Please, our governor.
I'm focused on what you're saying, Madam Mayor, and what you're saying doesn't make sense.
Get me to say something. No, that's your opinion of what you think I'm saying, and I am being very clear.
Okay, so basically, he's reading a quote that what she said in a prior interview. And what she said in that prior interview is basically this. Open up these restaurants, and then if there's a virus or something isn't clean there and a virus, outbreaks from that restaurant, then we'll deal with it then. And Anderson Cooper's statement is, but that might not show up for a couple weeks. We might not know if a pizza parlor opens up and they're not practicing social distancing and people get infected. We won't know right away. We won't know till weeks later. And then those infected people are outside of that restaurant. It's a very simple point. And he's only going by the words that she said in a prior interview, and she didn't want to talk about it.
Yes.
I find that very problematic.
And I find it problematic that he would not stop. He would not.
She wouldn't answer the question.
So does she have to answer every single question?
Okay, I'll respond to that.
I don't think she does.
I'll respond to that.
If she feels like it's going to compromise the city of Las Vegas and her personal reputation, and that's what Anderson Cooper was trying to do. The whole interview was gotcha face.
Disagree with that.
He was very pompous. He was very disrespectful. And you have to. I mean,
Okay,
I thought I thought Mayor Goodman did a good job saying I don't because she recognized, despite the fact that she's 81 years old.
Okay,
she recognized.
Stop saying she's 81. That's not an excuse for putting us at risk.
not
and saying stupid things.
How is she putting us at risk?
Okay, well, let me answer your question. You asked me a question about if she doesn't want to answer the question.
No,
she doesn't have to.
I'm going to say I'm not going to say she's an unintelligent human being, Brian.
Okay, well, let me respond to
I'm going
fine.
to say she's 81
Okay,
years old.
fine. Let me respond to what you just said.
I think that she tried. She made a conscious effort. The door just flew open. But that's what happens when you do your show in Brian's kitchen, by the way. But I think that she was trying, and I appreciate what she tried to do by not answering that question. And Anderson Cooper, the pompous prick that he is, wouldn't let her do it.
Okay, well, I think it's idiotic what you just said.
That's fine.
First of all, to call him a pompous prick and then not to put anything
Brian,
on.
he's a Vanderbilt.
Okay, if I could just continue. To call him a pompous prick and to attack Anderson Cooper, but to defend everything that Mayor Goodman says is ridiculous, in my opinion. That's number one.
I didn't defend everything she said.
That's well, you have so far. You haven't criticized her for anything so far. That's number one. Number two, he is going by the words that she has said in a prior interview. Now, if she doesn't want to talk about it or she wants to back off those comments, she could say, you know what? I said that before. I don't feel that way now. It's called accountability. When a politician or anybody for that matter says something on the record that is ridiculous, and by the way, what she said about the free market and these businesses was ridiculous, Anderson Cooper's trying to get her to be held accountable. It's the same reason in some of these press conferences with Donald Trump, when the press tries to hold him accountable, and then everybody on the right says, oh, you know what, you're trying to get him in a gotcha moment. This is not a gotcha moment. He's trying to hold her accountable for the things she said. Let's move on. Talking about testing. As we know, testing is extremely, extremely important in this scenario. We don't have enough tests, right? So Anderson Cooper asked her about testing. Have a listen to this.
In fact, you're calling for businesses to reopen. Every
Yes.
scientist and person who looks at this says what we really need to do that is more testing
Wait,
and
you're
more
saying
contact tracing.
That can't work. We're not getting the truth. And I know over the years, going back to the 1950s with the atomic bomb, don't worry about it when we're testing in Nevada. You'll all be fine. Take a shower. The reality is,
You're the one saying you'll all be fine. What we're saying is testing and contact.
You're putting words in my mouth. I said, open up Las Vegas.
She says, open up Las Vegas, even though she has literally done nothing to help us with testing. And yeah, I know she says it's not my job, but Anderson Cooper said, wait a second, you're not willing to roll up your sleeve and do what the mayor in LA is doing. You're not willing to roll up your sleeve and make sure we have enough tests here, yet you're saying, well, it's not my job, let's just open up. I think anybody could come to a conclusion that that's inappropriate for her to do. Now, let's go to the China thing. Asked about this Chinese study, and I just want to set it up for...
I would like to comment on the last thing.
Okay, go ahead.
If that's okay with you. Right now, the testing, if you're talking about COVID-19 testing, Sisolak is actually discussing random testing. People that may have the disease, that don't know they have the disease because they don't have any symptoms for it. He's talking about actually pulling people out and forcing them to be tested randomly. I think that is insanity because you can have the virus and you can lose it in 2 days. You can not have the virus and you can pick it up the next day. The one thing that you cannot get rid of in your system is the antibodies. That is a consistent thing. That is a protein that you develop to the pathogen. That's the most important test. I am all for widespread antibody testing in Nevada for that reason. And for another reason, I think this virus got here a long time ago. And I've said that for a long time. And I believe that if it was here and running rampant and our pneumonia rate wasn't extremely high and our flu death rate wasn't extremely high or something along those lines, then I don't think the virus is as deadly as it seems. So if you want to talk about testing, if you're talking about COVID testing on a random scale, that's insanity to me. But if you're talking about antibody testing and you say, hey, we recommend that everyone gets, and it's a prick of your finger. It's nothing overly invasive, we'll say. But if you talk about antibody testing, to me, I think that's what Nevada and that's what New York City just did it. They just came up with the first round of preliminary antibody testing shows 21.2% of New York City, which is 8.2 million people, actually has the virus. That means, so right now, the actual caseload is 138,000 with 35,000 deaths, which is crazy, but 138,000 have the virus apparently. Well, what they're saying now, based on the antibody testing, is that 13 times that much actually have the virus, which drops the mortality rate by 13 times. So I think that antibody testing is the most necessary thing. And if Anderson Cooper is trying to put her down push her down the road of, or even you trying to push her down the road of not helping with COVID-19 testing, why would you test someone for COVID-19 who doesn't have symptoms for it?
Okay, so I'm just trying to focus on that cut, and nothing in that cut was mentioned in regards to antibody testing.
Well, no, it's testing in general.
Basically, the point of that cut is, and Anderson makes a very good point. I'm sure you'll disagree with everything he says, but that's fine. The mayor in LA, who she's very good friends with, has done a lot to try to help people get tested in that community. He has been very involved. She has done nothing in regards to antibody test or any type of testing. She's done nothing. I think that's the gist of that cut, and that's the point he was trying to make, and I think he made it very well. So we could be talking about any type of test. She hasn't done enough, or anything for that matter, and she admitted that, by the way. She gets an email from somebody, she just sends it, to the health department. But we got to take a break, and when we come back, we have more cuts that we want to play. And we will continue to do that and take some of your phone calls as well. Your thoughts on Mayor Carolyn Goodman, 702-257-5396. Jimmy Kimmel, he made some very interesting comments on his show last night on social media about Mayor Carolyn Goodman. Jimmy Kimmel used to call Las Vegas his home. We have cuts from Governor Sisolak. He made an appearance on CNN. We have Dina Titus, Congresswoman here in Nevada. She made comments on CNN as well. So we're going to play all those cuts for you. And like I said, we have a lot more to get to, including, JD brought it up, this Chinese study that Anderson Cooper put up on screen. And Anderson basically called her, said it was an ignorant statement she made. We'll tell you exactly what that statement was coming up next and why Anderson Cooper said what he said. So we'll take a quick break. We'll take more of your phone call, or I should say phone calls on the other side of the break. 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 257-5396. Take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
Guys, waking up over and over to pee is not okay. But now, you can reduce those nighttime bathroom trips with the ingredients in Super Beta Prostate P3 Advanced. We're talking about less urges to pee at night, less bathroom trips during the day, and better bladder emptying. It's like taking 3 prostate supplements in one. You can try a full 30-day bottle of P3 Advanced, free. Just pay shipping and handling. No strings attached, no obligations, and no commitments to buy. This is a 30-day supply, absolutely free. Call 1-800-476-0670. Super Beta Prostate is the best-selling brand in major retailers like Walmart. But for this no-strings-attached free bottle, you must call now. Call 1-800-476-0670. Don't miss out on this unprecedented free offer. Call 1-800-476-0670. 1-800-476-0670.
Travis Scribner, managing partner of Westpac Wealth Partners, interviews some of the most successful business owners for insight into what makes both them and their business run. Tune in every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON, or podcasts on iTunes.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortera, News 3 live at 11.
You've heard me talk about Homey and how they will save you thousands of dollars when you buy or sell a home. Not only are they disrupting the traditional real estate model, but I am blown away by how they are investing in our local community during these tough times. I couldn't be more proud to endorse Homey, and here's why. Homey is committing up to $100,000 to the United Way of Southern Nevada to help keep people in their homes through rent and mortgage assistance for those impacted by COVID-19. For every home bought or sold with Homey over the next 90 days, they will donate $500 to the United Way. Even more importantly, Homey will rebate their entire $2,500 listing fee back to you if you are forced to sell your home due to this crisis. That's right, no selling fee. That's huge. It's amazing to see a new company in Las Vegas step up in such a big way. Text JD to 88588 to buy or sell with Homey. Again, text JD to 88588. Stay safe and save thousands. Homey really does have our back.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Join Coach Harvey Hyde and Chuck Hayes Saturday evenings from 9 to 10 p.m. for Trojan Football Report, presented by South Point Hotel and Casino, here on 101.5 FM and 720 AM KDWN, where Las Vegas comes to talk.
Hey, are you ready to quit smoking? There's a free Nevada resource here to help you. Just call 1-800-QUIT-NOW from a Nevada area code. Are you looking for smoke-free housing? Visit gethealthyclarkcounty.org for a list of 50,000
Coronavirus update. Good and bad news on unemployment. The good news, for the third straight week, new claims are down. The bad news, the number of jobs lost in the last 5 weeks is more than all the jobs created since the Great Recession. Here's business correspondent Julia Chatterley.
These claims are the economic fear gauge, I think, on a weekly basis now for the U.S. economy. When you're talking over 26 million people who've either lost their jobs, had their jobs furloughed, or simply afraid of what the future of their job looks like, you get a sense it's 1 in 6 U.S. workers that are in that situation and are facing that fear now on a daily basis.
Senator Elizabeth Warren says her brother Donald is among the 47,000 Americans killed by the virus. The New York City Health Commissioner says as many as 1 million in that city may already have been exposed to the virus. The Dow up 1%. I'm Mike Moss.
Check the roads. This report sponsored by Lowe's. Police on scene with a crash reported Decatur, south of the 95. Avoid delays. Take an alternate route to get around like Jones or Valley View instead. And if your travels take you to the California line and beyond towards Baker, a serious crash is still a factor on I-15 northbound north of Afton Road. This is blocking the right shoulder and causing delays in the area. Pros, Lowe's is open and pro-ready with the supplies you need to make repairs during this important time. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Satisfaction? Simplicity? Performance? When it comes to vaping, we know what matters. At Vuse, we've been pioneering vapor technologies since 2013. All of our liquids are blended in the USA, and our vapor products are only sold through reputable retailers and our website. At Vuse, we charge beyond in what matters to you. Vuse, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited. Website restricted to age 21 and over tobacco consumers.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. Sean Hannity, weekdays noon to 3 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sheriff and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Thursday. Coming up here at the top of the hour, the poker kid himself, Daniel Negreanu, will be joining us. Real Kid Poker coming up here at the top of the hour. He's got some strong opinions on Las Vegas. He calls it his home. Want to get more back to the audio. Those of you that are on hold, we'll try to get to you as soon as we can, but we're talking about the interview that the mayor did with Anderson Cooper, and we want to finish some of these audio cuts, and then we'll get your opinion on it. We'll try to hear every side we can on it. So Anderson Cooper puts up this diagram, and it's a diagram of a restaurant in China, and scientists have studied it because there were about 20 people, if I recall, that got sick and got the coronavirus from this restaurant, and they found out there was one person in that restaurant at the time that they believe was asymptomatic. So it's a diagram that shows how this virus can spread so quickly, perhaps even through the air. So let's go ahead and play this cut and listen to the mayor's reaction.
There's Chinese researchers have shown how this virus spreads. And I just want to put up for our viewers. This is a restaurant.
Anderson, you are tough.
No, I'm not
We're
talking.
back to China. This isn't China.
Yeah,
this is Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow. Okay, that's really ignorant. This is a restaurant, and the yellow circle. That's an ignorant statement. That's a restaurant, and yes, it's in China, but there are human beings too. That yellow is a person who.
Okay, so my opinion on that is this. The restaurant could be anywhere. It's a diagram. Very intelligent people have studied what took place there. It shouldn't matter whether it was in China or Las Vegas. The point that Anderson Cooper is trying to make is it's a virus that can travel through the air, how can you justify opening up casinos? We could talk about Legionnaires and what took place there. It traveled through the air, and a lot of people died. So that's the only point that Anderson's trying to make. And I think the mayor said something that she shouldn't have said. And I think she was wrong. And now whether Anderson Cooper should have called her ignorant or ignorant.
Do you think it was racist what she said?
No, I don't think it was racist, but I do think.
Because that's what Anderson was basically implying.
Well, she didn't say that.
Okay.
He didn't say that. He said it was an ignorant statement, and I agree with him. It was an ignorant
He
statement.
would say the same thing about something that someone that's something racist somebody said.
Okay, but he didn't say that. I'm only going by
it
what
was
he
a
said.
little, it was a little theatrical. His response was.
Okay,
in my opinion.
but are you okay with what she said?
It's not. I mean, it's not China. And that being
Why would
said,
you say
if
that,
that,
though?
well, it's not. But if that,
How is that academic
again,
to the conversation?
That being said, you look at that diagram. If that diagram is real, then restaurants can't open. Restaurants
that's
theoretically cannot open for at least until this virus is completely gone.
Well, that's probably part of the reason why a lot of these people some people disagree with you in regards to opening up restaurants. There has to be very strict social distancing guidelines, and it's why we had a protester on yesterday, and I was very upset at her because she's not practicing social distancing.
And that's different. That was outside. Now,
outside or inside, you shouldn't be closer than 6 feet to somebody.
A recent study came out. Since Anderson Cooper can use his diagram, I can use a study from doctors in China. They studied 318 cluster cases of the coronavirus, and they found out that not one of them was transmitted outdoors.
So that diagram that Anderson Cooper was showing and the scientist in the study you're saying is completely 100% accurate.
No, I am saying that this virus may be much more susceptible to spread indoors than outdoors.
And that might be possible.
And if that's the case, then protesting,
and that's very possible.
A major protest outside is probably not going to spread the virus.
But, I don't want to get off kilter with the protest. I'm just talking about this cut. Anderson is bringing up a valid point. Listen, if Mayor Goodman or yourself or anybody disagrees with that, state your point. But to start an answer mid-question by saying, this isn't China, this is Las Vegas, I'm on Anderson's side. That was an ignorant thing that she said. Now, what's she doing regarding opening up these casinos? What specifically is she doing? Have a listen to this audio.
Casino owners, I'm sure they're probably doing okay. It's the people who are working on the floor who are the ones who are going to become infected and potentially die.
No, you're talking disease. I'm talking life. I'm talking life and living. These are people who have had to abandon. Well, it maybe doesn't to you. It does to us here in Las Vegas.
No, he's right. It makes absolutely no sense what she just said. I'm talking about life. Well, so's Anderson. We're all talking about life. And by the way, she quoted as, speaking to the casino owners every day and how broken up they are. And then Anderson said, yeah, I'm sure these casino owners are broken up, but you know what? It's the employees, the ones that aren't making a lot of money, that don't have a lot of money. It's their health that we're worried about, not the people that are sitting behind a desk in a nice, clean office. But she kept talking about how she talks to the owners every day. Of course the owners want to reopen their casinos and start making money. She offered up, this is the part of the interview that I think is the worst. I mean, she basically said, in other words, she wants us to be used as guinea pigs. Have a listen to this, where she talks about how she wanted Las Vegas to be used as a control group. Have a listen to this.
But hasn't it been because of social distancing that the numbers have been what they are?
How do you know until we have a control group? We offer to be a control group. Anybody who knows anything about statistics knows that, for instance, you have a vaccine.
You're offering
the
citizens of Las Vegas to be a control group to see if your theory on social distancing works or doesn't work.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Don't put words in my mouth.
You just said we'll be a control group.
Excuse me. What I said was, I offered to be a control group, and I was told by our statistician, you can't do that because people from all parts of Southern Nevada come in to work in the city. And I said, oh, that's too bad, because I know when you have a disease, you have a placebo that gets the water and the sugar, and then you get those that actually get the shot. We would love to be that placebo side so you have something to measure against. So all the data until
you want to get the placebo. You don't want to get the actual. No, the group who gets the placebo, by the way, usually gets the short end of the stick.
Well, you don't know. How do you know when you're in part of that group? You are.
Mayor, if.
Okay, so that was a really embarrassing moment for the mayor. Extremely embarrassing. Can we agree on that at least? JD?
Well, what happened was she had a conversation with her internal staff, and she decided to tell Anderson Cooper about that conversation.
Can we agree that was probably a mistake?
That was a giant mistake. Brian. That was a
I mean,
tremendously
we're all laughing because it's
that
ridiculous.
was a tremendously large mistake, and she should not have honestly, because it was a private conversation first and foremost, but secondly,
But JD, here the way I agree. The way she answered it, and we finally agree on something. The way
how can we not agree on that?
But JD, even worse. The way she answered it and got angry at Anderson. So Anderson saying, "Wait, you want them to be guinea pigs, basically, right?" Like, no, Anderson, that's not what I said. What I said was I wanted them to be
right,
blah blah blah.
right. She said, at one point I had
ridiculous.
At one point I had a conversation with my statistician.
So ridiculous.
Who was I think his name was Jeremy Aguero, the name that she mentioned to us. I'm sure that's who she spoke to, and he's like, "No, that's not going to work." But if she didn't say that part of the interview, I think it was probably a pretty decent interview. But
Okay.
that
I disagree.
That statement right there definitely did not help her, and it did not help the city of Las Vegas as far as getting tourists from across the country, especially with how much Anderson Cooper and CNN have publicized this now.
Okay, well, it's not just CNN that's publicized
That's
it. Hold on a
it may have
second.
cost Las Vegas a lot of money.
Hold on. You said something that I don't certainly is not factually accurate. It's not an opinion. It's not just CNN that publicized this. It's the world. This made national news within 5 minutes. Hold on. Within 5 minutes of this interview going public live, it was one of the top trending stories on Twitter. There's a reason for that, JD. It's not because CNN wants to boost their ratings. That's not the only reason. It's because she made herself look like a fool on national television. And by the way, we're going to talk about the fallout, but it was on the front of the Review Journal. That wasn't CNN that pushed that. It was the Review Journal that made that decision, and it was all over national news. Fox News even played an excerpt of that interview. MSNBC played it. All the local stations here played it. It was a national story, and quite frankly, it still is a national story. So it's not just CNN. So I want to play this part of the interview, JD, and I want to get your thoughts on this, because to me, this was, in my opinion, this is the most embarrassing part of the interview. We can talk about a couple other things, but the end of the interview, Anderson Cooper asked this question to the mayor of Las Vegas. I want you to have a listen to this exchange. It was the last question that Anderson Cooper asked her. Have a listen to this.
Casinos reopen. Are you going to be inside those casinos every single night putting your own life on the line?
I have lived in this town for 56 years.
Are you going to go to casinos every night and put your life on the line all the workers you say you were there holding their hands?
So they don't need it. We weren't broken. We tragically have 150 people we lost. Tragic. We have 2.3 million people here.
I haven't heard you say yes that you would be
43
sitting on those casino floors every night along with the people that you say you are holding their hands with.
What is the purpose of that? First of all, I have a family.
Because
and
it would be putting your money. It would be
night.
putting
What are
money
you
where
doing?
your mouth is, to use a Las Vegas
wait,
term.
Anderson,
If
you
you
are
say
too smart
it's
for this.
safe,
Anderson.
okay, so you're not willing to sit on the
Anderson,
casino
this is-
floors with them when they reopen and breathe the refiltered air.
First of all, I don't gamble. I used to gamble when we first came to town. I don't have the time. I work 7 days a week. I have so many things that I have to attend to. I can't
I
sit
wouldn't want
on
to
a
sit on those
casino
floors either.
floor.
Okay, so here's my response to that. Whether Carolyn Goodman gambles or not, if she truly believes what she is saying, and I would hope she does, by the way, all she had to do was answer the question like this. If I have the time, I will absolutely take my family and we will spend some time in some of these casinos. But she didn't say that. She didn't say that. She didn't say she'd be willing to do that. This isn't about whether she has time because she's cooking or she has a family. It's about, Mayor, put your money where your mouth is, as Anderson Cooper said. She said she wants everything to reopen. And Anderson is asking her a very valid question. Are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? And if I could just finish, are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? And are you willing to be there with the dealers, to be there with those good workers that you say you care about so much? She wouldn't answer the question. She danced around it.
Do you know why she didn't answer it, Brian? And this, to me, it's not about Carolyn Goodman embarrassing herself. This was Anderson Cooper not doing his research. She's 81 years old, and she is a cancer survivor, Brian. She is the highest of the high-risk groups possible.
Why didn't she say that?
If I was her, I wouldn't do that either.
Why didn't she say that?
And the fact that Anderson Cooper didn't know that and tried to use that as a gotcha moment is, again, more reinforcement that he is a pompous prick.
Okay, first
so
of all,
I'm
you're
happy.
assuming-
I'm unhappy with the way that Carolyn Goodman
First
answered
of all,
that question.
two things that
because
you just said.
legitimately, she is the. I mean, she is the high risk group.
Okay, so
that's her to a T under those circumstances. So if I was her, I wouldn't do the same thing either.
Two things that you just said. First of all, she didn't say that. She could have answered it like that, and then I would have agreed with you. She chose not to. If she answered it by saying, you know what, Anderson, I'm a cancer survivor. I have an immune system that could hurt me if I got the coronavirus, then I think people would have understood. At least I would have. JD, she didn't answer it that way. That's number one. Hold on.
Well, now you can understand,
Okay.
Brian.
Well, no, I don't like her answer. I'm going to criticize her answer regardless. She didn't answer it the way she should have.
I'm going to criticize Anderson for not knowing that before asking the question.
Hang on. Number two, I'm sure he didn't know she had cancer.
He knows she's 81.
Okay? Listen, there's a lot of, you're telling me there's not people in their 80s that would hang out in these casinos?
I don't think they should.
Whether they should or whether they do are two completely different things.
I don't think they should for 3 months, but it's their decision to do so.
Exactly.
I think you'll see a lot less people that are 75 plus hanging out in casinos than you did.
The point is, they still will be there, JD, because if you open it up, there's dumb people that are going to risk their health because they want to play a slot machine and they're degenerate gamblers.
That is totally their decision.
And that's okay. Well, that's where we fundamentally
But Mayor Goodman is saying, I have a family.
Okay.
I am high risk. That's basically, in my opinion, that's what she's saying.
That's where we fundamentally
I have a family.
disagree.
I have high risk. I would not spend. And have you ever seen Mayor Carolyn Goodman in a casino before? I haven't.
Okay.
I've seen her outside
Doesn't
of them.
matter.
I've seen her talking
That's not the point.
at major events, but I've never actually seen her on the floor gambling in the smoke.
But that's not the point of the question. I think you understand why Anderson asked that. Put your money where your mouth is.
Oh, I get it.
And yes, I suppose you're right. I suppose an 81-year-old could risk her life or his. Hold on, if I could just finish. Risk her life or his life and go into the casinos. And I suppose it is their decision, just like it's a decision of you or I to stand in the middle of a road when a bus is coming and get killed. It is our decision. You're right. Doesn't mean it's right. There should be laws and there should be things put in place to make sure that people that maybe are susceptible, that are ignorant, do not harm themselves or harm other people. I want to play you a little bit of sound from reaction. Governor Sisolak was on with Anderson Cooper later that day, yesterday. And this was in response to that interview that Carolyn Goodman did. Have a listen to this.
I have talked to people who have lost a loved one who, to COVID-19, to people that weren't able to visit a dying parent in a nursing home because they had restrictions on a nursing home. I spent a half hour with our first ground zero patient that we had, a veteran, at our veterans home that came out of a coma that he was in for 30 days, and he thanked me. He said, Governor, at least I'm to be able to see my grandchildren someday. Had you not done this, it wouldn't have been possible. It's important that we protect the health and the future and the well-being of our citizens. We can rebuild our economy. We will rebuild our economy. Las Vegas will continue to thrive, but I can't do that if I lose more people.
All right, this is very important. I want to share my opinion on this because this is, if anything, this is the most important cut we're going to play throughout the entire show. You can dislike Governor Sisolak. You can dislike his policies. You can call him sissy. I don't agree with you. That's one thing. The man showed empathy when he did this interview with Anderson Cooper. He was emotional. He was teary-eyed. And he showed, I guess you could say he wore his emotion on his sleeve in that interview. That is something that we've never seen. Never. From the President of the United States. If you don't like Governor Sisolak, that's fine. Politically, you don't like his policies, that's fine. That's fair. We could talk about that. The man got choked up. He showed emotion. He showed the real human side to him. And he was upset at the fact that people were dying and that he was standing with a veteran and that veteran was finally able to see his or her family. He was choked up. And when I talk about empathy from the president, that is exactly what I am talking about. Disagree or not with Governor Sisolak, the man showed the human side to him. And from our politicians, that's what I want. I want them to show that they care about us. Governor Sisolak showed that. Again, you can disagree with his policies all day long. The man showed empathy in that interview because I truly believe he has a good heart and he cares. And if people want to go after him and they want to think that he's doing this for profit, this shutdown, or they want to think that, it's intentional, that he wants to hurt people, go back and have a listen to that interview with Anderson Cooper. The man does care. He's trying to do the best that he can. If you disagree with his policies, that's fine. So my question to you, Donald Trump supporters, is this. What excuse are you going to make where in that 40-second clip, Governor Sisolak showed more empathy than Donald Trump has showed in 3.5 years, maybe in his whole life? The president doesn't even talk about those who have died in many of these press conferences.
You don't think that President Trump has ever cried before?
I didn't say that. I said up there on a stage, in a pandemic, or in an interview, when he's asked about those who have died, when he's asked about those that are suffering, why is it we've never seen that side of him, JD?
Well, I mean, he's talking about the deaths, and I understand we've had 182 deaths here, but we're honestly on pace to have a 30%
I'm not
unemployment.
talking about
Brian.
the pace. I'm not talking
No,
about the virus. I'm talking about something else right now.
I got you. But
why are you bringing that up?
You also have to think about this. My grandfather he's not in a nursing home. He's in a retirement home. He's 85 years old. He has been locked down. There's nothing wrong with him. He's perfectly healthy.
What does that have to do with empathy?
He has been locked down. There's two sides to it. He has been locked down in his little apartment that we pay $4,000 a month for in Council Bluffs, Iowa, where there is less cases than there is here. He literally cannot leave his room. He hasn't been able to leave his room for 4 or 5 weeks.
That's horrible. And I feel terrible.
Do you know how many people like him right there are out there in the country?
What does it have to do with what I just said,
hundreds of thousands
I agree.
of people
That's
like him out
horrible.
there.
I feel
why my question is why is there no empathy for him?
What do you mean there's no empathy?
No, there isn't.
What are you talking about?
Why are those lives not being? I'm not even talking about the unemployed. I'm not even talking about the unemployed. I'm talking about those.
I talk about those people every day
that don't have the virus, that are in retirement homes.
I talk about that every day.
They're forced against their will. They're forced to literally sit in their retirement home. They can't do anything they want to do.
Let me respond to that. First of all,
I think that is basically imprisonment.
Okay, well, I agree with you, and I feel horrible for your grandfather, and I talk about and I feel empathy for everybody involved, those who have died, those who are suffering, your grandfather. It's a horrible situation. But again, you deflect from what I asked you. I find that very interesting. And I'll ask it again. Hold on. I'll ask it again. Governor Sisolak, in that 40-second clip with Anderson Cooper, got emotional. He was talking about a stranger, somebody he didn't know, who he spoke to, a veteran. And his voice cracked, and he was teary-eyed,
right.
and he showed emotion, and I think anybody should respect that. Now, my question is this.
He did a good job.
Okay. Well, it's not about doing a good job.
Okay.
It's about being a human being. And my question to you is this, and I'll ask it again. Why is it that in 3.5 years, in every single press conference and in every single interview Donald Trump has done, we've never seen that human side of him? Why is that?
Why is he not had tears in his eyes?
Never shown empathy like that.
Actually, last week when he said it was the hardest day of my life, when I found out that we might not, because he didn't cry, that's the only reason why.
You think that was him showing empathy?
Come on. I mean, yeah, he said it was the hardest day of my life when I thought that we weren't going to have.
Really choked up about that.
Who cares? Does that mean that he's unempathetic because he's not visibly shaken up or choked up about it?
I'll answer that question.
That doesn't make any sense.
I'll answer that question.
By that logic, then anyone who is teary-eyed, doesn't matter what kind of heinous things they've done, they're off the hook.
I'll answer that question by saying this. Every single time Mike Pence takes the stage, the first thing he does and talk about those who have lost their lives, and he says thoughts and prayers. Donald Trump has never done that.
I would definitely agree that Mike Pence has much more empathy publicly than Donald Trump does. Publicly.
All right. Well, Steve Sisolak has that empathy too. So if people want to continue to blast him,
but that does not change the unemployment rate. That does not change the joblessness. Okay. That does not change the amount of money that the city is going to lose. None of that changes.
But
I respect and appreciate his empathy. That's fantastic. It changes nothing.
I'm not sure you do.
Of course I do.
Let's go to Dina Titus now. Now, Dina Titus has appeared on this show many times, and I appreciate her. She's a congresswoman here in the state of Nevada. She was on with Don Lemon today talking about this Carolyn Goodman interview. Have a listen to this.
The mayor needs to listen to the scientist and the healthcare specialist and stop talking about my constituents as though they're guinea pigs in some grand experiment that she's trying to conduct.
Yeah, I got an experiment. Let's get a new mayor. Let's try that for an experiment. Jimmy Kimmel, who I'm a big fan of. I've met Jimmy Kimmel. He's got his own comedy club here in Las Vegas, which is awesome. I've met him a few times. Great guy. Great guy. He's awesome. And he still represents Las Vegas in a great way, man. I think he's very talented, very funny. And again, a guy that shows empathy on his show all the time. He gets very emotional on his show, and I think he's got a great heart. So Jimmy Kimmel made some comments on social media live while that interview was going on, blasting the mayor, and he continued it last night on his show. Listen to this.
Mayor Carolyn Goodman revealed her lunacy to Anderson Cooper and the whole country today. She believes that Las Vegas is ready to open the casinos now. She was like that dizzy neighbor you try to pretend you don't see when you're pulling into the garage? The gist of what she was saying was, why should we treat this virus any differently from anything else?
Well, he's right. He's right. And there's a lot of other celebrities that are speaking out about this interview, but the reason why I wanted to play Jimmy Kimmel is because he spent a lot of time here in Las Vegas, and I think it's important that his voice be heard, and he does such a great job on his show. I want to take some of your phone calls at 257-5396. I apologize. I know a lot of people have been waiting patiently on hold. Try to get to as many I can here in a short time, so please make your point quickly if you can. Let's go to Edward. Edward, you're first on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Edward?
Yes, I hate to throw a monkey wrench into this well-produced hit piece, but Macau.
What do you mean hit piece? Well, hold on a second.
I said Macau has been open for 2 months.
I heard what you said.
Games.
How is this a hit piece?
Out of 39 casinos are open there, Brian.
Don't answer my question.
I sent you an email of them.
I'm not reading your emails. Why do you think? Hold on a second. You just called. Excuse me. I'm going to hang up on you. I'm going to hang up on you if you don't pay attention. You just called what we did a hit piece. How was it a hit piece, sir? With all due respect,
That's an impressive rant.
We played their own words. How was it a hit piece? Explain. Yeah, okay. Well, I would have liked him to have answered that question. If you're going to start a phone call, if you want to make your point, that's fine. But when you say we did a hit piece and we play the actual audio from everybody and we're not misrepresenting or editing anything, we're actually playing the audio, it's ridiculous.
And when you say we, when I have been relatively supportive of Mayor Goodman, except for the one thing that she said that's inaccurate as well.
Is this a hit piece?
I don't think it is.
Neither do I. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Lewis. Lewis, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Lewis?
Lewis, did we lose you?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Lewis. You're on.
Yeah, a first thing with the Anderson Cooper thing that he said, Chinese researchers, that right there tells you everything you need to know.
And that's a very good point.
I don't believe China.
Yeah.
If you believe China, that's good for you. But I would beg to differ that most people don't believe China.
Okay, let's go with that for a second. Fair enough. Let's go with that.
Anderson Cooper was talking about that.
Let's go with that.
That's enough.
Okay, let's go with that. Hold on.
Let me finish. The reason why I called, sir, and I posted this article on your Facebook page. There's an article from the LA Times which I think we can agree, it doesn't lean right. It leans probably left. And USC, which is an institution that leans probably heavily left, they did a study, and the article's from April 20th of 2020.
Please make your point.
You're talking about the antibody study.
The mortality rate is based on the number of confirmed infections. The higher the number of infections, the lower the fatality rate. Both studies, USC and Stanford, estimated a mortality rate.
Okay, so I'm going to go back and do what I always do. I'm going to, if I could just interject.
I actually talked about this study 2 days ago.
If I can just interject, sir, you got to listen to me now. My turn, sir. I would like to ask you a question, but we don't have time. So if you could please stop talking and listen. What is your point? Do you think we should open everything up tomorrow? I hear people like you talk about studies all day long. What is your point? Open everything up tomorrow? Open the casinos? Hold on. Let me get my question out. Can you please stop talking and let me ask you a question? Do you think tomorrow we should open, including the casinos, everything up across the world? Yes or no?
Sure.
All right. Have a nice day, sir. Have a nice day. I am so glad dopes like you aren't running this country.
He's not a dope.
Everything up. We should open everything up tomorrow.
Here's the question, Brian.
It's ridiculous.
Here's the quote. Well, you're not factoring in that people can make their own decision whether they want to go out in public or not if they're high risk.
So ridiculous.
But if the general thought process was that the mortality rate, I'm talking of CNN and Fox News, and it was nationally confirmed that the mortality rate of this virus was not 2%, but it was actually 0.2 or 0.3%. Will we be in this position? The answer, in my opinion, is no.
There's not one scientist.
So you have to no, there are. There's a lot of scientists. That's the whole point.
You didn't let me finish my statement.
Okay.
I got one word in, and then you interrupted me. What I was going to say was that I don't believe there's one scientist or doctor in the Trump administration or in many of these administrations as far as statewide that think everything in the world should open tomorrow. That is what that guy said. We're going to take a quick break, and that's why I called him a dope. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, he is Real Kid Poker. He's got 6 World Series of Poker bracelets. The World Series of Poker, by the way, was postponed. We're going to talk to him about that. I know he's got some really strong opinions on that Carolyn Goodman interview. Don't worry, we'll take more of your phone calls. Sit tight. We'll get to you in a little bit, but we're going to get to Daniel Negreanu first on the other side of this break right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Hey, are you ready to quit smoking? There's a free Nevada resource here to help you. Just call 1-800-QUIT-NOW from a Nevada area code.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
V is for victory, except on Saturdays when V is for veterans. That's Veterans Talk, The Forgotten Promise. Join us every Saturday from noon to 1.
Veterans Talk every Saturday at noon on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Coronavirus update. Senator Elizabeth Warren says her brother Donald is among the 47,000 coronavirus deaths in the United States. Coronavirus infections continue to rise, and medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen has the latest estimates.
Our model, our estimate, our guess is that in Boston and Seattle each, there were 2,300 cases, Chicago 3,300, San Francisco 9,300, and New York 10,700.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says his state's testing has found about 14% of his population has been exposed to the virus. That means about 2.7 million state residents have been exposed to coronavirus. Cuomo says there has been an alarming number of deaths at nursing home facilities in the state, and he is now asking that state's attorney general to investigate if those facilities have been following the state guidelines on coronavirus. I'm Mike Moss. More than 4 million jobs lost last week, over 26 million lost in only 5 weeks. Today, the House expected to approve a $484 billion refill for the Paycheck Protection Program. New money for testing in hospitals as well. Democrat Hakeem Jeffries is calling for passage.
Small businesses are shuttered. Thousands have died. Millions of Americans are unemployed. Rome is burning. We can either put out the fire or watch our great nation go down in flames.
New home sales plunged 15.4% in March as the coronavirus-related shutdowns that began in the middle of the month began to rattle the housing market. A trial showing a Gilead drug hoped to successfully treat coronavirus failing has stocks down a bit off their highs, up 166 for the Dow. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Letterman Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's. The crash reported on Decatur, south of the 95, still active, causing delays. Take an alternate to avoid slowing like Jones Boulevard or Valley View instead. And a heads up, expect heavier traffic on Sahara Avenue east and west between Valley View and I-15 beginning now because of the food distribution at the Palace Station Hotel that's going on. That starts at 11 and will continue as long as the food lasts this morning. This happens every Thursday, so heavier traffic on Sahara right now. Pros, Lowe's is open and pro-ready with the supplies you need to make repairs during this important time. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it's a fit for you. MediShare, healthcare you can believe in.
Now more than ever, we need companies that have our back. Homey just launched in Las Vegas and is already saving us thousands in real estate fees, and now they're helping our community in partnership with United Way of Southern Nevada. For each home bought or sold with Homey, they are donating $500 to the United Way to provide rent and mortgage assistance. And if you have to sell your home because of COVID-19, Homey will rebate their $2,500 listing fee back to you. Text JD to 88588 to buy or sell with Homey. Homey really does have our back.
So, Chuck, some people have the impression that payday loan companies suck. Why is that?
Because they do. Luckily, Dollar Loan Center is not a payday loan company. We're a short-term installment lender where you only pay interest for the time you have the loan out. No other fees, no surprises, and crystal clear contracts.
And how do the paycheck places work?
They cost way more, they don't lend as much, and you normally have to pay it back in 2 weeks no matter what. Look, if you have a payday loan, do yourself a favor, come see us at Dollar Loan Center. Normally we can save you up to half of what you're paying now and give you way longer to pay it back.
That was Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center, where you can get up to $5,000 in minutes, even without a checking account. We have over 50 locations, and our friendly Dollar Loan Center staff are ready to help. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed by the Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortera. News 3 live at 11.
A Home for Spot is a nonprofit group of dog lovers whose mission is to rescue, provide sanctuary, and ultimately to rehome abandoned, stray, and neglected dogs. To donate, foster, or adopt, go online to ahome4spot.com.
1015 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro, coming live at you on a Thursday. By the way, coming up hour number 3, actor Tom Arnold will be joining us. Very funny guy. And then at the bottom of the hour, we'll be joined by TMZ Sports' very own Mike Babcock. So plenty to get to in the next 2 hours or so. But the guy we have with us on the line right now, he's been obviously a great friend of the show. Love having him on. One of the most popular faces in poker, arguably the most popular in the last couple decades. 6-time World Series of Poker champion, Daniel Negreanu. Daniel, always appreciate it when you take some time, my man. How you doing?
Well, always great to be on, especially when you guys force me to set my alarm to do these early 10 a.m. calls.
By the way, Daniel, speaking of which, you know, we've had Phil Hellmuth on the show before. The guy won't come on before noon. He won't wake up anymore to come on our show. What is it with some of these poker players? I understand you guys play games late and stuff, but Phil will not wake up at 11:30 a.m. to do our show. What's up with that?
Well, Phil Hellmuth, from what I remember, you know, most people, the goal is to sleep between 7 and 8 hours. I believe he's at around 15. So he really does, like, sleep like nobody's business. And, you know, as you said, a lot of poker players are kind of night owls. Early mornings are just off limits.
Well,
maybe that's why he's 6'7".
That's possible. Well, Daniel, I appreciate you setting your alarm for our show. It means a lot. First question, and then we'll get to the political stuff. Talk a little bit about the World Series of Poker. Obviously, it doesn't happen very often where the World Series of Poker is supposed to start at the end of May. They just made the official announcement, even though I'm sure you knew this was going to happen way before we all did. The World Series of Poker now officially being postponed. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, well, this is one of those cases, right, where it wasn't a case of if. It was just like, well, when? When are they going to make the announcement, right? Because as we see what's going on in the world, there wasn't a lot of hope for, you know, by the end of May, all of a sudden everything's back to normal and we're good to go to play poker, which, you know, it's impossible to, you know, make the poker environment, you know, germ safe. So it was only a matter of time, and, you know, they haven't released any dates in terms of, you know, when they're postponing to, which I think is logical and makes sense, because really, what's the point, you know? Yeah. At this point, it's all up to the virus. We don't know when we can, you know, resume normal life again. So there's no point in saying, well, you know, we're going to do it in October. Oh, are you? I mean, I don't know. You can't plan for this at this moment.
So if Carolyn Goodman was running the World Series of Poker, if she had it her way, she wouldn't be there. But she would say, let's get this thing going. Let's start it up in late May. Obviously, we're reacting this morning, Daniel, as I'm sure you have been. The world has been the last 24 hours in regards to that interview she did with Anderson Cooper. You go on the front of the Review Journal, you see Anderson Cooper, a picture of him with his hands over his face. Myself and my co-host disagree a little bit. I think she made herself look like a complete buffoon. I think she's a very nice lady, but I don't think she's extremely intelligent. My co-host disagrees, and you guys could maybe get into that a little bit. But
Again?
but yeah, but Daniel, I mean, this really made Vegas look bad. She made herself look terrible. Some people, like Jimmy Kimmel, celebrities, are calling for her removal from office. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's funny because my tweet, as I was watching live, it ended up in the Washington Post because I felt as though, and listen, and I agree with you, she comes off as a very nice lady, right? You know, that kind of, she's got those old stories of I grew up in, in
right.
Manhattan and, like very cute and folksy, right? However, and, the argument I would make, for those people that do want to reopen and all that kind of stuff, fine, you're entitled to your opinion on that, but she didn't deliver it very well, right? So if your co-host here thinks that, she's on the right side, that's kind of irrelevant here because her the way she delivered the information was so shocking. It was one of the worst performances I've ever seen a politician have in a 15-minute interview. She frankly, in a lot of ways, made Trump look like a stable genius. It was making sense. She really did. It was like I really felt pain for her. I was like, my God, because now you see all these clips going viral, and typically in a 25-minute interview, people might have a 2-minute spot. They're like, check out what she said here. There's 8 of them. Okay, there's like every time you look at what people are sharing, it's a different clip of some of the things that she said, and it was just really, really just shocking and a little bit ignorant in terms of like she doesn't have a plan. She's not doing any testing. She made comments like it's not my job. I'm like, that's kind of exactly what your job is to keep people safe, right?
Yeah.
We can't have a system. And listen, I'm all about free market. I believe the business should be able to do for the most part what they want, but when it comes to public safety, the job of the mayors and the governors is to keep people safe. If a company is doing something that is putting them at risk, well, they need to step in and do something about that. And if you open up these casinos, here's the thing that wasn't mentioned that a lot of people always like. Do you really think if we opened up Las Vegas tomorrow, there would be hotels full of people? I mean, you might have all these protesters around the country who believe this is all a hoax, in the casinos, but really the casinos would lose money anyway,
right,
if they reopen tomorrow.
Sure.
No, and I've been saying that for a long time. I think that you could say that Nevada opens on May 1st, and you could let the Strip open their casinos, but they would literally be setting money on fire, and that's why I thought that Sisolak made the right decision in shutting everything down. Because once the national thought process was that this virus was airborne and you could get it in close confinement, it was efficient, human to human transmissible, then of course Las Vegas had to shut down. But I do believe, I mean, we're looking at almost a 30% unemployment. There was an article in the Sun that said that Las Vegas is going to lose $1 billion. I mean, you've got 330,000 that are unemployed across the state of Nevada right now. Las Vegas is hurting, and I think that the businesses outside of the casinos do need to open slowly, assuming that they do practice social distancing. If you want to wear masks, fine. And then also, if you're a high-risk group, and keep in mind, Carolyn Goodman is also a high-risk group. She's 81 years old, and she is a cancer survivor. But if you're a high-risk group, you stay away. Do you agree with that, Daniel?
Well, I mean, at this point, you have to put the people at forefront. What I think the proper, it's interesting too, because when we have, issues that are like, pandemic-like, it's interesting how so many Republican voices are speaking to kind of liberal policies like a UBI, or which I wouldn't even call liberal. But imagine a UBI that Andrew Yang was pushing forward at a time like this, where everybody would have $1,000 in their pocket per month to at least have food and at least be able to pay their rent, if you will. In Canada, over the next 4 months, everyone's going to get $2,000 to cover themselves. This is a real spot where you're absolutely right that there's so much pain and suffering among. Like, imagine just being, a couple, a husband and a wife with 2 children who, work in the hospitality industry in Las Vegas, and you have, no income coming in. You have a difficult access to actual just food necessities. You don't know how you're going to pay your rent, and you don't know when you get to reopen. So yes, there's tons of pain here, but this is exactly where, instead of spending, maybe like $600 billion on tanks, can we take some of that money that we don't need wasting money on tanks that they don't even say that they want, and the generals are like, guys, we have no use for this stuff, and use that to actually feed the people and regenerate the economy, just to stabilize during this pandemic, because I really believe we are in this for the long haul. It doesn't
Yeah,
work
I
that
agree.
simply where you can just say you can't really social distance in a casino, in such a way that you're maintaining social distancing. And when she said, Anderson Cooper said to her, he's like, the number's only 150 or so deaths in Nevada. Do you think that has something to do with social distancing? She says, well, we don't know. Well, we kind of do.
Daniel, you're right.
We kind of do know.
No, you're right. We do know. And, you and I think alike politically, and I know that for a lot of different reasons, but I posted this on Facebook the other day. It's funny how Republicans now, they all want to use the term, we need to put food on the table. Well, you're the same people that have been cutting food stamps for those that have been struggling for decades, and now all of a sudden you want to talk about, the lower class and the middle class families. You want to talk about putting food on the table. You want to talk about those people that are making $10, $12 an hour. Well, where have you been the last 39 years of my life?
Well, yeah, the term I hear is, and this is a talking point. Is like, you don't want to give people free handouts, right? Okay, that's fair. But listen, this is a case where people are suffering through no fault of their own.
That's true.
That couple that I was, the imaginary couple that I made up that works hard, they work, shifts, they put food on the table, if you will. They can't go to work right now. They don't have any other resources. So in cases like this, forget about this, negative connotation with a handout. How about helping all of our citizens and those that live here and our hardworking families and things like that? This is a time where government has to go to every length to make sure that people are able to survive through this, and then when we can reopen, continue to put stimulus packages into the hands of people who can use it.
Well, you also, in Las Vegas, you have a lot of employees who are under the table. They're getting paid in cash, and they are not eligible for any of this extra $600 a week unemployment benefit that a lot of people are getting. And then you've got the people that are stocking shelves right now at Vons or Smith's who are maybe making $12 to $13 an hour, who could actually be making more just going on unemployment. At what point do you think that they are going to realize, wow, I'm putting my health at risk and I'm making less money than I could just not working?
Well, I mean, yeah, no, that's one of the the issues where people have with sort of a quote unquote welfare system, right? Where in a lot of cases, people getting a job would be making less than they would had they gone on unemployment. That's why Andrew Yang's UBI is the answer, because the UBI is unconditional.
Right.
Everybody gets it. You get it whether you work or not. So now this guy who works the stock shelves, which you said, he could get his not unemployment but his UBI as well as the additional money he makes. So he could actually take whatever situation he's in and better himself and, and move up in the world, if you will, with something like that. And I think it's really important for it to be unconditional, which, everyone gets it, because then you're looking at a system that isn't a handout. It is just a new system that, ensures that we're okay when we have pandemics like this. Like, imagine in a couple of years if we have another one like this that's worse.
Right.
It's very feasible and possible. And we're not really set up in such a way where we take care of our own, those hardworking people that stock the shelves.
Daniel, I hate to go back to this interview, but I have to ask you one more question about this because, we could name a lot of different things that she said in this interview that were, in my opinion, idiotic. She offered up Las Vegas as a control group. Anderson Cooper asked her, would you sit side by side with these dealers in these casinos? She said no. She basically danced around the question. She wouldn't answer it. She said she's had plenty of talks with the mayor of L.A. As you know, the mayor of L.A., he's done quite a lot in regards to helping to get testing for his citizens. She answered the question by saying, well, it's not really my job. I mean, I can go on and on with the list. He shows her this Chinese study, and she says, this isn't China, this is Las Vegas. I mean, what really stood out to you the most, Daniel? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask you in this interview, because those are the ones that stood out to me.
Well, yeah, the one that you speak to, the very first one, what she actually said was, she said, we offered ourselves. And
right.
Then Anderson chimes in and says, so you're offering the citizens of Las Vegas as a control group in the study. And she goes, no. That's not what I said.
Right.
I'm like, you literally said exactly that phrase, right?
Right.
And then she's like, well, no, we offered, but then they told us that, we were not allowed to do that. I'm like, so you did offer. So you essentially said you're willing to take your citizens that put you, in office and saying, use us as guinea pigs.
Yeah.
And we'll give some people. And then when she went off on this tangent about the sugar pill and the placebo, it was very, very just off the wall.
It was a seventh grade biology study conversation. I thought that was very interesting too.
Yeah, no, there's no question about that. I mean, there were a lot of moments in that interview. So, what do you think, Daniel? I mean, there's some people that are calling for her head, so to speak, like a Jimmy Kimmel, and they're saying that she should resign immediately. What do you say? I mean, you've been living in Las Vegas for a long time. Do you think she should resign?
No question. I mean, she's in there till 2024, as far as I know. But I mean, no question. I don't know if it was. I don't know if she was drinking. I don't know if it's age, but she just did not come off as somebody that can do this job. And frankly, not only because first of all, she doesn't know she has a job listening to the science and listening to Dr. Fauci and the rest, and waiting for word there. So, but just as a figurehead, like it feels to me that she didn't really get this job based on her own merits. It was more a case of, okay, well, she was Oscar's wife, and she's got the backing of the big casino owners, and as long as she does what they say, she's a good figurehead to have there. But this was an embarrassment for. I mean, listen, it didn't go viral by accident, right? All
I agree.
over the world, seeing it all over social media, all over the news channels. It was, and you could see Anderson. I mean, I've never seen Anderson Cooper quite so flustered, where he was like so annoyed.
Can we go with that for a second, Daniel? Let's go with that.
Are you talking about when he actually took his glasses off and wiped them on his shirt?
JD called him
the bat and the face palm. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so you could tell. Now, I think Anderson did a good job of the interview. Maybe at times a little over the top, but JD called him a prick.
I called him a pompous prick.
Do you? I disagree. I disagree with JD. I think it's the responsibility of the media to hold politicians accountable. I thought Anderson did that. What do you say, Daniel?
Well, I will say I'll say that I think Anderson could have done a better job, frankly, and not simply because he was like a pompous prick or whatever you want to call him, just because I think he was so flustered by the responses he was getting that he's like, it was like in his mind, he's like, are you freaking, well, hold on right now. Are you freaking serious right now? Like, what planet are you on? So he did kind of, because here, the bottom line is as a journalist, right, you're supposed to ask the tough questions, and he did a lot of that. But at the same time, I think, it's far more professional to kind of keep your cool in spots like that. And he was just clearly annoyed. Even when he made the statement calling what she said ignorant, when he said, wow, that's an ignorant statement.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't need the extra comments because, again, it creates sort of a rift between.
That's fair.
It's more fodder for Fox News and, for them to go look at this pompous asshole. And it creates division. Like, this isn't a time with coronavirus where we should be.
I totally agree.
It is, and everything is. It always is going to be. But, that was an opportunity where I just think he lost his cool. And I don't know that I could get my cool, too, because it was it was like talking to somebody and you're like, it's shocking what she was saying.
Yeah, well, he added the theatrics, which does not help in a situation like that. But I thought that Mayor Goodman, she tried not to answer a couple of questions that he just would not let her not answer those questions. And Brian said that he doesn't think she's a very smart woman. I think that she's 81 years old, and you can make the argument, okay, well, if you're 81, then why are you mayor? But I was disappointed with how Anderson Cooper would not just get off those questions.
Well, there are simple questions, right, where you ask every mayor, which is like, what are you doing to improve, the ability for people to get testing in your state, in your city? Like, that's a fair question.
Of course.
It wasn't like the questions that he was asking and re-asking were unfair. They were not gotcha questions.
Exactly.
And the shocking thing to me is this wasn't her first interview.
Right.
She was on MSNBC the day before. It's like you would think that she would have handlers or people say, listen, next time you're asked these obvious questions, here's what you say.
Exactly.
But she just seemed like she was not prepared whatsoever.
And it's not just that.
She's the mayor.
Yeah. And Daniel, you're absolutely right. And it's the job of the media to hold people responsible. But at the same time, it's not like I just met Carolyn Goodman yesterday. I've been in the news business for 20 years. I've known Carolyn Goodman since she was in her late 60s. I've interviewed her, over a decade ago. I'm telling you right now, guys, she hasn't changed. This is Carolyn Goodman, whether she's 81, 71, 65. In that aspect, this is the way she talks to the media. Daniel, I want to talk to you about this. I brought up this point in the first hour. I personally think this is very important. As you know, Governor Sisolak did an interview on CNN yesterday in response to the Carolyn Goodman interview. And in that interview, Sisolak got teary-eyed. He got choked up. He was talking about a veteran that he spoke to basically on his deathbed, and he got emotional. And I said to myself, you got more empathy from Governor Sisolak in a 40-second clip than you've gotten from Donald Trump publicly in 3.5 years. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, here's the issue with Trump, right? His forte, I wouldn't, call his forte being compassion and empathy. When he goes to, regions like when 9/11 happens and, it's a travesty, the first thing that comes to his mind is, that was the tallest building, and now they say that mine is the tallest building. Right? He's very self-focused.
Right,
So it's
I
very
remember he
difficult
said
for
that.
him.
Yep.
I mean, he has, and this is very common where he goes to places, and he I think he wants to be able to, and he tries to, but he doesn't have that empathy gene. So I mean, I would say that's probably accurate. I've never really seen, and maybe your co-host here could correct us, like any situations where he was genuinely empathetic to people in such a way where you felt like it was real.
I can give you one. I can give you one last, but I mean, actually, I asked Brian if he thought that Donald Trump had ever cried. He told me there's no chance. So
I didn't
I'm,
say
I'm
that.
sure you
didn't say that.
I'm sure you would say the same.
I never
thing.
said
no,
that.
But no, I'm joking, Brian.
Okay.
No, but that being said, last week he did say that the hardest day of his life was when he found out, and this was during the task force, press briefing, but was when he found out that there might not be enough ventilators for every single person who needs one to have. And I thought that he showed empathy at that point. That was last week.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've never actually seen it.
Fair enough.
But maybe I'll look for that clip. Yeah. I don't know that. I don't know that like certain people who have. Well, I'm not a psychiatrist, but many have. Sort of from not intensively, but collectively have said that he suffers from several different, not only narcissistic personality disorder, but sociopathies. A nutso basically, right?
No, I agree.
People who are sociopathic. People who are sociopathic, they don't have the capacity for empathy.
Now, Daniel, we only got a few more minutes left here, but this is another topic that we've been talking about the last few weeks, and that is the protesters. I think a good majority of them are selfish. They're not practicing those that are not practicing social distancing, which, by the way, is quite a few. They're making it into a Trump campaign rally. Not all of them, but some of them using Confederate flags. I mean, to me, it's utterly disgusting. We all want to go back to work, Daniel, right? We all are in the same boat here in that aspect. We want things to reopen, but it doesn't mean that we should put others' lives at risk. There's something called asymptomatic. A lot of people that are at these protests, I would imagine, don't know if they have the virus or not. They're not practicing social distancing, and I'm calling all those people idiots. Am I wrong in doing so?
Well, you're right. They do kind of look like sort of the same old Tea Party rallies. It's the same group of people, same kind of rhetoric, and they happen to be happening for the most part, I think, in states where there is a Democratic, government. I mean, I don't know. Listen, if you really genuinely believe this stuff, like that it's all a hoax and this is nothing less than the flu, and you're suffering, you can have compassion for why these people would, march. They believe in America, freedom. You can't have tyranny. You can't tell us to stay home. Like, this ain't China. We're free and all that kind of stuff. And that's one of the reasons it's a little more difficult to, enforce social distancing laws in a country like the United States. Obviously, with authoritarian states like, China, they tell you to stay home, you stay home. They have drones and police and coverage. They have like the eye in the sky. They see what you're doing. So, part of what makes America great too is the fact that people do have the freedom to do this. And as long as there's no law where they can't, protest, they're taking in their own risk. It's not much different than, people going to church, 50, 60, 100 people at a time and saying, I saw this woman say, I'm fine. I'm covered in Jesus' blood. Like, okay. Good for you. There's only so much we can do, right? Like, if people don't want to social distance, unless you plan on having authoritarian, which I know Trump would love. He would love to be an authoritarian where he could tell people, like have complete control over everything. This is because he admires every authoritarian that exists, whether it's Putin, whether it's, Kim Jong-un. Like, he loves these relationships and kind of alienates our past allies, which were, in Europe and abroad. But he seems to have an affinity for authoritarianism. And unfortunately, fortunately, he's not able to do that here in the United States yet.
Yes.
Yet.
Yes, yeah. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Well, Daniel, I always appreciate it, man. When you come on the show with us, and next time we'll try to get you in the 11 a.m. hour so you can get an extra hour of sleep. All right.
We're good. I wake up right around 10 anyway.
Cool. Daniel, you're the best, man. We love having you on. Love your insight, and we'll catch up with you soon, my man. Have fun with that golf simulation in your home. I'm very jealous of that, by the way.
I will do. All right, guys. Have
Thanks,
a good one.
Daniel.
Thanks a lot,
Appreciate it.
Daniel.
All right, that is Daniel Negreanu, Real Kid Poker, 6-time World Series of Poker champion, extremely intelligent.
Horribly intelligent.
Yeah, he's very smart.
His IQ is plus 150.
I just said he's very smarter.
Do you think his IQ is higher than Donald Trump's?
I'd say probably double.
Double?
Yeah,
I think it's 312.
I would say Donald Trump does not have an extremely high IQ. But here's what we're going to do, folks. We're going to take a break. I know there's a lot of people that have been wanting to chime in on this. I'm going to do an entire segment, next segment, with your reaction. This next segment is about you. 702-257-5396. We're going to take your calls. Again, that number, 702-257-5396. Reaction to anything we've talked about. Daniel Negreanu, Donald Trump, the Carolyn Goodman interview. I want to hear from you, Las Vegans. We'll take a quick break. Be back right after this. You are listening to The Vegas Take.
This is John Greenhouse, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Are you looking for smoke-free housing? Visit gethealthyclarkcounty.org for a list of 50,000 smoke-free units available.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
Is found through testing that a large portion of that state's population, about 2.7 million people, are estimated to have been exposed to the coronavirus. This is Governor Andrew Cuomo.
The statewide number is 13.9% tested positive for having the antibodies. What does that mean? It means these are people who were infected and who developed the antibodies to fight the infection.
Some food chain supply experts are raising an alarm that the increasing number of meat plants closing because of sickened workers means there could be supply issues affecting American consumers. More Americans have lost jobs in the last 5 weeks than the total number of new jobs created since the Great Recession. More than 26 million jobs lost in only 5 weeks. On Wall Street, the Dow is up about 100. I'm Mike Morse.
Baby, it's time to check the roads.
From the Leonard Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's. No new accidents to report. However, watch for slowing for police activity. I-15 northbound at Flamingo, and that may be debris on the roadway. And police activity to watch for Fort Apache at the 215 Beltway affecting eastbound. This is for motorist assist, maybe a stalled vehicle, and no delays to report I-15 southbound between the Spaghetti Bowl and Tropicana. Road work continues on Maryland Parkway between Russell and Las Vegas Boulevard. Pros, Lowe's is open and pro-ready with the supplies you need to make repairs during this important time. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
We've always had villains to face.
But you are the most horrible of all. We all have the power to do something.
To stand up to cancer.
Stand up to fight. Stand up to win. Visit standuptocancer.org to learn more.
V is for victory, except on Saturdays when V is for veterans. That's Veterans Talk, the Forgotten Promise. Join us every Saturday from noon to 1.
Veterans Talk every Saturday at noon on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you can join us on a Thursday. Oh, yeah, by the way, we're taking your phone calls now. I know a lot of people have been waiting very patiently on hold, and now we have an opportunity where we'll be able to take some phone calls. And again, that number is 702-257-5396 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Real quick here, obviously we're talking about Mayor Carolyn Goodman's interview on CNN, which I thought was a complete and utter disaster. I think most people agree with me. And Daniel Negreanu, who we just had on, said it best. There's a reason why this thing went viral. Sisolak's response, Dina Titus's response, Jimmy Kimmel's, celebrities, all their response. So we want to know what you think. What do you think about Carolyn Goodman? Do you think she did herself any favors in that interview with Anderson Cooper? We'll take your phone calls again, 257-5396. Let's go to Michelle. Michelle, you're first up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Michelle?
I have several points to make, so please hear me out. But I am a very conservative Republican, never voted for a Democrat in my life, not that she is a Republican, but I can't believe what she said.
Yeah.
I'm pro-business, but this is pro-life. And the way I see it is she had no way to test asymptomatic people coming in to the hotels.
Yep.
The fact that she is a cancer survivor and elderly, you don't think those frontline workers have pre-existing conditions themselves?
Of
Some
course.
are cancer survivors and have hypertension and are diabetic.
Great point.
That complicate it. My teenage son works part-time at a grocery store here, and one of his teammates tested positive for COVID.
Oh, no.
I got him a doctor's note for 30 days to be out of work. And 3 weeks in, his HR department contacted him and said they were going to term him if he didn't come back to work. And so you're going to have people who are going to be getting termed and losing their benefits because they have pre-existing health conditions.
Wow.
And number three, the one thing that that I saw that infuriated me when that you guys have not touched upon during the interview was he asked if she felt like her building was clean, and she says, "Well, of course, the lobby's closed.
Yes,
We've cleaned everything."
No, you're right.
Well, open up your lobby. I'll be the first one standing in your lobby.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's see how you feel.
That is such, Michelle, I'm so glad you brought that up. That is such a good point. She did say that in the interview, and Anderson, asked her about that and kind of said it with a smirk on his face because he knew what you knew, that she was talking about how clean her office is, but yet her own lobby isn't even opened up yet. What does that tell you? Michelle, I want to ask you one more a question, if I may. And by the way, you bring some fantastic points up, and I could not agree with you more. And I'm so sorry about that story you told about someone you know who has the COVID. I'm sorry to hear that. I want to ask you, if you had a chance right now to speak with Carolyn Goodman, what would you say to her?
That she has blood on her hands, because those same workers, even if you don't work on the Strip, I personally don't work on the Strip, that there are people that live all throughout the valley that work on the Strip. It's going to be in everybody's neighborhood. They're going to be grocery shopping on their days off at your grocery store that you're walking next to. They're going to be going to restaurants. We don't want to be the second New York. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
Do you think she should resign?
People from all over the world have different cultures and different means of social distancing and what that means to them. And the last thing you can do when you're in the service industry is be considered rude by asking somebody to step aside.
I agree. Should she resign?
And so they're not going to do that.
Yes or no? Do you think she should resign?
She should have resigned years ago. I think that what she's doing right now, she's showing her incompetence.
I agree.
She has lost the faith of her city.
Yeah.
We can't trust her. The fact that she wanted to give us placebo, so people who have pre-existing conditions that are working, to give her the taxes that she really wants at the end of the day,
it's absurd.
Money.
Yeah.
And he's going to give us placebo and then let us be the laboratory rats for her. I don't understand how, in her mind, anything she said was cohesive.
I agree.
At all.
I agree,
and
Michelle.
I'm embarrassed for my city. What she did was she actually did the opposite of what she intended to do.
Yeah, it's a scar. You're right. It's a scar.
I have to come to Vegas because we don't have our stuff together.
Yeah, no, you're right, Michelle. Excellent call. I appreciate you, and you sound like an extremely smart
good
lady.
call, Michelle.
And I'm sorry about your friend.
I do think that she did cost the city of Las Vegas probably a good deal of money last night, just because of how it was blown up publicly from all the outlets, not just CNN.
And that, by the way, that's a question I want to ask our listeners. Do you think she should resign? 702-257-5396. Let's go to Gary. Gary, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Gary?
Hello. I want to talk to JD.
What's up, Gary?
JD, I'm worried about you, buddy.
Why?
My brother. How do you go to work every day with Bubble Boy from the Seinfeld show? And I'm worried about your health. I really think that Brian Shapiro should resign and do a sports show. You guys, the only thing you
sports
have in
show?
common is that you know more about sports than anything else, JD. And it's the only thing you have in common. And you have to go to this guy's kitchen, and he complains about you throwing your garbage on the floor or whatever. And
I did that.
That's true.
How do you deal with that day in and day out?
You know what, Gary? And you're
Gary, I have a thought. If we did the radio show from your house, I have a feeling there'd be a lot of alcohol in there.
Probably.
Listen.
Yeah.
All right, you can pick on me all you want.
Well, you're picking on me. You're picking on me. Do you have a home, Gary?
I think he has a home.
I'm talking to JD. JD,
I'm talking to you.
I'm listening.
I want you to, reach
Gary.
over, slap him in the face live on the radio.
And I'm not gonna call you deplorable Gary either. I'm not gonna do that. But you're right.
Generator Johnson.
That's funny.
Are you there?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm here right
Thank you,
now.
Gary. No, we got to get to some other
I
calls.
just got
my
one
friend.
more thing
What
to
up?
say. I want you to start a new show called the JD Show.
All right.
You go to the studio and not get ulcers and go through all this nonsense.
All right. Well, I want you to start a show called the Drunken Gary Show. 702-257.
I think that would actually do very well.
Actually, guys, he does have a show idea. Hanging up in my office in the studio.
He wrote us a letter,
which
didn't
we
he?
haven't been
Yeah.
in over a month.
Oh, that's right.
He proposed the Gary Johnson show.
All right, that's enough about Gary. Let's get back to the phone calls. Do you think Mayor Carolyn Goodman should resign? What did you think of the interview? Or maybe I'm just way off on this one. Maybe you think she did a really good job. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Marge. Marge, you're next up in the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Marge?
Hi. Well, I think that for your birthday present, that JD should have gotten you mic holders to begin with.
Yeah, this is awful.
JD, what happened to my birthday present, man? I didn't get anything from you.
Yeah, it's coming, Brian.
Except a little bit of stress. That's all.
A lot of stress. You realize that the last 3 weeks we have been screaming at each other every single day.
Every day.
I go home after the show and I just pass out. I can't even take phone calls. I can't even talk because I'm just yelling because I can't hear myself in these mics. These mics are that bad. This equipment is that bad.
I've got my violin out, JD.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, we should play a violin.
Did you play
now.
that during Steve Sisolak's statement?
No.
You should have.
No. The only difference is Steve Sisolak was actually crying. JD wasn't crying.
Yeah. Well.
Marge, do you think that the mayor should resign?
I think she should consider it. She's in her last term anyway, and she's got nothing to lose when you think about it. So she's going to be very forthright, I think, in her thoughts. Yeah. But it was downright embarrassing. Now, first of all, Anderson Cooper didn't give her a chance to complete any of her thoughts. He just kept on firing at her, and I got a little bit annoyed at him to begin with. But her offering us to be a petri dish is insanity. And, the culinary union certainly has come out against it totally. So has the governor.
Yeah.
So has the county commissioner. Everybody is against this idea.
Yeah.
And if she thinks that just cleaning will help the situation of
That's
opening
absurd.
up.
She said that on our show too. She said, remember Marge when she came on our show on Monday, and she said she bragged about how clean the hotel rooms are.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to be really nice, and it's a very difficult position for me because I have a relationship with Oscar Goodman, and I didn't want to offend her or him, quite frankly, and I don't want to now either. But I have to be honest. And I said to her, "What do clean hotel rooms have to do with this virus? It makes zero sense." Marge, it's always good to hear from you. Appreciate your phone call.
Great call,
and
Marge.
please stay safe, Marge. Thank you. 702-257-5396. Mark, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, yes. JD, when selfish people go out, are they just risking their own lives, or are they risking other people's lives too?
Well, that really depends, Mark. I don't know what the actual fatality rate is for this virus. I don't know when the virus got to Nevada, to Las Vegas. I don't know because we haven't had the antibody test. But under those circumstances, under those circumstances, they are risking everybody's lives, Mark. But are they outdoors or are they indoors? Yeah, okay. What are you trying to say? You're Mark Schaefer. You're Mark Schaefer on Twitter, right? You're Mark Schaefer on Twitter, right?
Who cares what his last name is? Let him.
No, I'm saying he attacks me on Twitter almost every day.
Did he threaten you like people threaten you?
Not yet. Not yet. Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Of course.
I looked at the preprint study from China, and it says this article is a preprint and has not been peer-reviewed. It reports new medical research that has yet to be evaluated and so should not be used to guide clinical practice. So when talking about that it's only indoor transmission and you're using a study from China, I find it amusing given that every other time you're down on China because you don't trust them.
No, yeah. the same logic can be applied for Anderson Cooper using that study from the Chinese restaurant.
702-257-25.
Is that any relation to John Schaefer?
I hope not.
257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Al. Al, you're next up in the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Al?
Thank you for the phone call, Al.
Best call this week, Al.
702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Mark. Mark, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hi, Mark.
No, I'm sorry. I got the wrong message. Let's go to Troy. Troy, you're next. Go ahead, Troy.
What's up, Troy?
What's up, Troy? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I think Carolyn did not look very good at all. I do believe in her sentiments, though, of let's get people back to work. I really do. And when I say that, I don't mean let's open everything up shoulder to shoulder. I mean, let's dip our toes in and see how the water is and start going.
Troy, can I add a word to that? Troy, can I add a word to that? How about let's get people back to work safely?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Then we agree.
That's fair.
And you know what?
That's
She
fair.
didn't prove that, did she? When she said let's open everything tomorrow, right, Troy?
No, she didn't have a way, but I think she's right in that we do need to leave it to the people that run these businesses.
That's true.
They're going to have great ideas. And
And Brian, there's actually a plan out there. The Wynn Resorts. You mentioned how there's no casinos doing what I mentioned. Everything I mentioned, as far as the distancing between the slot machines and X amount of players at tables, the Wynn Resorts and Matt Maddox, the CEO of the Wynn. Of Wynn has had that exact plan. So that plan that I gave you, we wanted to make a big bet on it. It actually does exist already, and I actually showed Stein the statement and the terms that they're running by.
All right, 702-257-5396. The what I mentioned earlier. This is what we're asking our listeners. What do you think about that Mayor Carolyn Goodman interview on CNN? Do you think she did Vegas justice? Do you think she should resign, or do you think she did herself a favor? What do you make of that interview, and what do you make of Sisolak's response on CNN? Because he also appeared on CNN yesterday. Let's go to Tom. Tom, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Tom?
How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
I honestly, absolutely believe she should resign. She just smeared her husband's name all over.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Tom.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I've been in this town since the mid-'90s. Seen it change dramatically over the years, and all the work her husband did, out the window.
You bring up a good point, Tom. Stay on the line here for a second. I've known Oscar for over a decade. I consider him a friend. He was on the show last week singing me happy birthday. I have a lot of respect for Oscar, and I'll say it again. I think his wife is a very nice lady. Oscar's a smart guy, okay? What do you really believe Oscar is thinking inside his head? Because I know he's going to defend his wife to all end, and by the way, I don't blame him for that. But what do you think Oscar Goodman is really thinking inside his head right now? Because I'll tell you what I think. I believe Oscar knows that his wife did not do a very good job on CNN, and now whether he wants to blame Anderson Cooper or he wants to blame her media people, it did not do her any favors. That's what I think Oscar believes. Do you think that?
Well, how can you blame Anderson Cooper or Sisolak or Dina Titus when they were using her own words, asking her own comments, her own words?
Yeah, exactly.
I asked she said, I asked the statisticians if we could use us as a testing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And they said no. I mean, seriously?
Yeah, I was shocked.
We're the guinea pigs, I guess. Yeah.
I was shocked that private conversation was actually divulged on national television. That was crazy.
You're right. No, listen. You make a lot of valid points there, and you know what? And by the way, I do appreciate the phone call. You made some good points. Listen. I feel bad for Oscar. I feel bad for Carolyn. That interview did not go well. I think you have to bear a lot of the responsibility on Carolyn. There's no question about that. I'm certainly not blaming Anderson Cooper. What do you think? Do you think
that Oscar is going to make a public statement soon?
No, absolutely not.
You don't?
No, he hasn't in over a decade. Why would he now? He's not going to do that. He lets her do her job and he stays out of it. That's Oscar. I've known Oscar for years. He stays out of the politics. He doesn't want to interfere with what she is doing. And by the way, I think that's the right way to go. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to James. James, you are next up on the Vegas Take.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Hey, which Democrat said to boycott work even if the ban is lifted and the casinos can go back to work? Which Democrat said to boycott work?
Was that discussed in the Carolyn Goodman interview on CNN with Anderson Cooper? Because James, if you didn't already know, we've been talking about it, and that's what we're discussing. So I'd like to ask you about that. What did you think about that interview with Carolyn Goodman yesterday on CNN?
It was an awesome interview. I think she should.
It was an awesome interview. You might be the only person on the planet that has that opinion. So you think that Carolyn Goodman did an awesome job?
Brian, you asked.
This voice sounds awfully
you
familiar.
said every Democrat wants to go back to work.
I think I know this guy.
No, that's not what I said. But I want to. But I'll respond.
James, can you sell me some colloidal silver?
All right, if I can go back to what James just said. And by the way, we know when we have a fraudulent caller, we recognize your voice. We know your voice is not James, but that's okay. All right, well then, why do you not use your real name on the show? Answer that, please.
It's his middle name. Middle names are fine.
Yeah, well.
Hey, same with you, Andre.
If I can respond.
Hey, if your middle name is Joey, that's okay too.
Well, maybe it's a stage name like
All right, well, I don't think any of our listeners care.
It's possible that Brady does porn.
I don't think any of our listeners care. Do we still have him on the line, or did we hang up on him as well? All right, I wanted to ask him a question
Is that
as
a
well.
tattoo on your arm?
But I guess we will just go to the next caller. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Ron. Ron, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Ron?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, man. What's on your mind?
Nothing. That was like Brady undercover. Remember when I told you I thought you were undercover Democrat?
The only difference is the only difference is I don't call into radio stations and use do that what Brady just did. But anyway, go ahead, Ron. What's on your mind, man?
I think that Mrs. I think the mayor was not. I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
It was a bad interview, and she blew it big time, Brian. She did.
Yeah, she did.
JD, you have to admit that, okay?
I have admitted that. I said
no. You said she did a good job, other than one answer.
Well, and which I do think she did a good job. Besides that, but that one answer was so bad it could have cost the way that was promoted and advertised, that could cost the city of Las Vegas a lot of money long term. That could deter people from visiting Las Vegas, and that's the entire point of opening up the Strip, is people coming to the Strip, because we don't have the population here to sustain it. So besides that, I thought that Anderson Cooper set her up a couple of times. But honest to God, Jason, her PR head should not have put her in that situation. But I do have to ask myself, how worried is she about the city of Las Vegas? I mean, she's been here for 30 plus years. She's watched it grow from 75,000 to 2.3 million. And if she's that worried about it, then I'm worried too.
Did we lose Ron? Go ahead, Ron.
But I have to take Brian's side.
That's fine.
Because he was absolutely right. I mean, he knows that I don't care too much for the governor, but they're both on their last term. So I think, she should either retire early or,
Well, I think, Ron, we certainly agree more than we disagree, and I appreciate your phone call, my man. Thank you very much. 702.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Ron. 702-257-5396. I want to try to get to as many more calls as I can, so now's the time. Let's go to Glenn. Glenn, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Glenn?
How you doing?
Good.
Yes, I think she should resign, no doubt about it. But I think part of the problem with a lot of these people with all these stupid comments is they don't believe and understand that the estimation of 100 to 200,000 deaths is correct, when it's absolutely on target. We're at the top of the curve right now, and 2,000 people a day are dying.
Yeah.
It's not going to go from 2,000 people a day to zero.
Exactly.
It's going to taper off.
Glenn, can I ask you a question? And by the way, that is a very good point you just made. Whether it's happening in Las Vegas or across the country, the bottom line is it's still happening in this country. So let me ask you this. Why is it, sir, do you think that there are so many people out there on the right that refuse to say what you just said?
Well, I think it has to do with people in general not understanding mathematics or statistics, because when this tapers down, it's going to be 1,800 per day, then 1,600. But in 40 to 60 days, it's going to be right at that 100,000 mark.
Right.
And they don't understand the cumulative data. They're just looking at the numbers right now. And your friend JD misuses statistics by comparing it to the flu or other deaths, because what you're doing is you're comparing a 12-month period of flu deaths
3.5
to
months.
a 3-month period of
Yeah,
COVID-19 deaths.
Yeah, flu
You can't
season is
do
flu
that.
season is usually early December to March. It's about 4 months. So the numbers are. I mean, obviously this is more deadly than the flu. I'm not disputing that, but I don't think it's as deadly as is being advertised and is being leveraged to keep us in our homes. I don't think
There's
I
gonna
don't
be
think it's
more
that.
deaths on
And
COVID-19
he-
once it's finished. So we're not finished yet.
Okay.
Everybody keeps talking like this number.
We're barely
And, and I look at the deaths and how they're handled by the hospitals and how, and I mentioned this yesterday, but in the CARES Act it literally says that if you are uninsured, Medicare will pay 20% more. So think about it: if you're uninsured and you go to a hospital in New York and you need heart surgery, no one is paying for that because you don't have insurance. But with COVID, if they list you as COVID, either as the case itself or they use a ventilator for you, they get paid 20% more.
But-
So they're covering. So the hospitals have an incentive for anyone who is uninsured. They have an incentive to say that they are COVID cases.
But,
and that is
going
that is an
back-
absolute fact, and it's in the CARES
But
Act.
going back to what Glenn just said,
So I think the death toll is inflated. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, I don't.
That's fine.
And I need absolute proof of that. And I'm not going to look at a death and say, well, you know what, wasn't tested for the virus. So I'm just going to assume didn't have the virus. I'm going to listen to the healthcare professionals, and we don't know the information from person to person. But let's get back to our phone call, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Matt. Matt, you're next up in the Vegas take.
Hey, what's up, Matt?
Hey, guys. I just wanted to say I appreciate the mayor speaking out on behalf of small business. I felt like she gave some reasoned points. I think she was kind of out of her league. Anderson Cooper's been doing this over and over and over again.
I'll agree with that.
The tension, the pushback that there needs to be somebody with a voice, somebody in the political spectrum speaking out and saying what we're doing is grossly insane, and we can't rely. You say let's rely on.
So let me ask you that with that word you just used, grossly. Let me just, if I can just interject, you just used the term grossly insane. Let's go with that for a second. Would you also agree that it would be grossly insane to open up stadiums tomorrow, to have NHL games tomorrow with 15,000 people in there, to open up the entire strip? Because that is what your mayor said yesterday on national television. Do you think that's grossly insane?
I think it's grossly insane that we took what you said, the medical professionals who said we were going to have 2 million people.
That's not what I asked you, sir. Please answer the question. Do you think it's grossly insane to have Vegas Golden Knights games with 50,000 people in the arena and open up the strip tomorrow? It's a yes or no question. That is what the mayor said yesterday on national television. Do you think that is grossly insane? Yes or no?
I'm finishing the point.
I want you to answer my question, sir. Do you think that's grossly insane? Yes or no?
Are you not going to let me finish?
If you're not going to answer my question, I'm going to go on to the next caller. We have a lot of people on hold. You're not special. Do you think, I'll ask you one more time, third time, do you use the term grossly insane. Do you think it's grossly insane for the mayor to go on national television yesterday and say she's totally fine with ball games like Vegas Golden Knights games and arenas full with people and shows and everything open on the strip tomorrow? Yes or no?
I think your elevated tone is grossly insane.
All right, have a nice day, sir. You just don't want to answer the question because you're a coward. 702.
I do think it's kind of interesting that you did basically yell at someone who was being very, very.
I
meek,
do think it's
being very
excuse
meek,
me.
being very meek in his
Okay,
approach.
excuse me. I asked the question 3 times and he refused to answer the question. He's a coward. As you notice, my tone got a little louder when he refused to answer the question. He sounds just like Carolyn Goodman yesterday on Anderson Cooper's show, not dodging a question, not answering it. If you're going to use the term, sir, grossly insane. Hold on a second. I know you're ready to interrupt. Hold on a second.
Not interrupt, no.
Okay. I thought you were. I
No,
apologize. Okay, my fault. I know if you're going to use the term grossly insane to talk about other people, but you won't use that same term when she says things that are utterly ridiculous, then you have something called no credibility.
All right, so news here. Wyndham Suites and Treasure Island are both set to open up on May 16th. So
they have a plan.
Yes, I think I'm pretty confident. I've seen this from a bunch of different places now, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to be open by May 15th. I believe that will be the case.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I don't necessarily disagree with you. Here's what I think is going to happen, though. It's going to be very slow.
Of course, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I do think that It's going to happen.
And there is a protest going on right now on the Las Vegas Strip. And the cars are practicing, it looks like 6 feet of social distancing. That is happening as we speak.
If they're practicing social distancing, then I don't have a problem with it. But as you know, JD, that did not happen over the weekend. There were people that were not practicing social distancing. I'm okay with people protesting, just like I'm okay with people sitting in their cars in front of a church, as long as they're practicing social distancing. If you're not practicing social distancing, you're putting everybody's lives at risk. You're selfish. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to try to lighten the mood a little bit here, if we can. This is going to be a lot of fun. I love this guy. You've known him from a gazillion different movies. He's been around a very long time. Used to be married to Roseanne Barr, by the way. Very funny guy. How is Tom Arnold handling this being in quarantine? I know the guy did a lot of drugs back in the day, so I hope he's doing okay. But Tom Arnold, that's right. The man himself will be joining us next. Very funny guy. Get some laughs with Tom coming up next, right here on The Vegas Take.
Maybe you can relate to this. A lot of people think they're stuck with their health plan. It costs too much, or for whatever reason, they just don't like it. The great news, you are not stuck with it. There is a choice. It's called MediShare, and you could save so much. The typical savings for a family is $500 a month. Major difference maker. This is the affordable alternative to health insurance. And just to give you a little more info about MediShare, it's a Christian healthcare sharing ministry. It's worked beautifully for 26 years, has more than 400,000 members, and they've shared over $3 billion of each other's medical bills. So yes, they can help share your needs too. So you're not stuck. There's an excellent alternative, whether you're single or married, you got a family. MediShare is super flexible. You can choose an option that works for you and start saving lots of money. You can join anytime. They're great to talk to. No pressure. Call 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas. KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas. A Beasley Media Group station.
Special report coronavirus update. It's nothing short of shocking. More than 26 million jobs lost in the last 5 weeks. Business correspondent Julia Chatterley says conditions are beginning to resemble the Great Depression.
Millions of people now asking, when is the money going to come? When am I going to get my job back? And even if I try and get back into my job, am I going to be able to do this safely? We could be looking at an unemployment rate in this country now of up to 20%. You have to go back to the Great Depression to find something that compares in any way.
States and consumers are up against it, and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is rejecting a solution proposed by the Senate Majority Leader.
Senator Mitch McConnell goes out and he says maybe the states should declare bankruptcy. Okay? This is one of the really dumb ideas of all time.
Senator Elizabeth Warren says her brother has died from the virus. I'm Mike Moss. New coronavirus cases are being linked to the decision not to allow mail-in voting in Wisconsin or delay the vote held on June 7th, April 7th. More from correspondent Ryan Young.
Not all the data's back yet, so we're not sure if this is going to be more people who ended up getting infected by standing in that line. Of course, you want to do social distancing, but when you looked at the lines, you could tell that people weren't always doing the social distancing. Not everyone showed up with a face mask. So then there's all these critical questions with all the data not back yet. How many more people could be exposed to this virus by standing in that line over and over again? And of course, it's a decision that so many people had to make, they felt like, and they wanted to vote. But now here comes the outcome.
The World Health Organization says it will announce a plan to speed development, production, and the safe use of technologies to prevent, diagnose, and treat COVID-19 tomorrow. On Wall Street, the Dow is up about 100. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by AARP and the Ad Council. Watch for slowing for a crash reported in the Lower Valley on Valley View at Sun Castle Avenue, that's just north of Star Avenue, and an accident on Craig at Nellis. Police activity to watch for Fort Apache at the 215 affecting eastbound. For those fortunate enough to care for the person who has always been their hero, AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it's a fit for you. MediShare, healthcare you can believe in.
What would you consider a fair fee for a bankruptcy?
How about one low flat fee? Sound fair?
Fair Fee Legal Services can prepare and file your bankruptcy for just $7.99.
Call us at 702-703-3333
Or check us out at fairfeelegalservices.com.
Get a fresh start.
At a fair fee.
Net free, carefree, finally free with Fair Fee.
Fairfeelegalservices.com. 702-703-3333.
We know that right now, distance is important. Distance keeps us safe. And we understand, because your health and safety are the most important things, the only things. So right now, distance is love. A message from your friends in Las Vegas.
1015 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, hour number 3. Oh, yeah, so glad you could join us. By the way, coming up at the bottom of the hour, Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. You know, the guy we have with us on the line right now, he's been on TMZ a few times in his career, that's for sure. Of course, you know him from 9 Months, True Lies. Oh, man, so many funny movies. Animal Factory, Mr. 3000, Happy Endings. And you know what? I used to love this show. The Best Damn Sports Show, period, was a fantastic show, and he's so nice enough to join us. Tom Arnold. Tom, how you doing, my man?
What's up, Tom?
I'm doing well. Wait, is Avenatti on it?
You know, it's funny, Tom. It's funny you mentioned that, Tom, because for those of you that don't know, last time we had Tom on the show, we had Michael Avenatti in studio. They're friends. Michael's not doing so well. Although, Tom, I don't know if you've heard, he's going to be let out for 3 months, right?
I have heard, as is my friend Michael Cohen, my other friend, who did not like each other, who I always said, you guys should team up. You have so much in common. And they are doing, they are doing better. They've both been treated horribly.
I agree.
By Donald Trump's Justice Department. But I think they are, Michael Avenatti is certainly, there's been some bullying going on.
No question.
I always think people should go. You go to court, and whatever happens appropriately. We have this fantastic justice system in this country, and I don't know what the details are of his cases, but certainly the people have the right to go in and stand before a judge and whatever. But there's been a lot of nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
Been done to Michael Avenatti.
Can I ask you, Tom, how is it that Michael Avenatti is in the same jail cell that El Chapo used to have? I mean, we're talking, and listen, I'd say the same thing about Paul Manafort. These are white-collar crimes, and listen, I understand it. He's a convicted felon now. But I agree with you. There's some shenanigans going on. But how is it that he is being treated like a serial killer?
Well, screw Paul Manafort. But he's bad. But let me just say this. When this is over, then Michael Avenatti, he's a tough guy, Michael Avenatti, and he'll have, he can handle it.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. He's
come out of this better, but there's that thing of all the people of color, the young people that don't get a chance.
Yeah.
In this country that just get slammed in there for whatever, for having some marijuana or whatever, and they get. They throw pregnant women in there. They do, the justice system is not fair. And, Michael Avenatti made a name for himself standing up for people.
You're right.
So, maybe he comes out of this better and wiser. And,
I hope so.
We get through this. And, he wishes he was him with El Chapo because he'd be figuring a way to get out of there.
You're probably right.
Where he was, you could get out of where he was pretty easy. That nobody's going to be rough. Nobody's going to be throwing around El Chapo. Even like people be scared.
true.
Epstein figured out a way to get out of there. No, I'm kidding.
Not the right way, that's for sure. Hey, Tom, how are you holding up? I have to ask you, Tom?
I'm here. My kids have been home from school here for 5.5 weeks. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. They're wonderful. We've been homeschooling. I have two Zooms every morning, which then we have the homework or whatever it's called.
Right.
And it's great, but it's it's great having them here. But we'll be it's great. It's great. They're
It sounds like you're really having a great time, Tom.
Tom, I'm on the same page. I've got my 2-year-old, and I've spent I've spent more time around her in the last 2 months than I've spent around pretty much anybody before. And I'm sure you're in that same boat. Yeah.
Yeah, their mom's a handful, but
Tom, are you losing your mind? Be honest.
Well, yeah. Well, but we went to bed too early last night. I got their rooms looking excellent. I got these Murphy beds installed, and
very important.
But they have for 3 years they've slept in my bed. So I was like, dude, look at these rooms, and we decorate them however they want them. But I realized they're still in my bed, and we went to bed too early last night. We have a part-time nanny, and she's like, Tom, you need to get them on the schedule. I was like, you're right. Even though, and we went to bed too early. Went to bed about 6:15, and so we were up hard at like before 5 a.m. And they're watching. They love True Lies. They love
It's a great movie.
Loves the action movies, and so. And now, at first, I was like, I don't want them watching stuff with language or violence. And now I'm like, whatever. It's as long as I talk them through it.
Jamie Lee Curtis was so hot in that movie.
Yeah. And he also saves his daughter's life.
Yeah.
So my daughter likes that,
That's cool.
So he's like, Dad, I'm falling out of the bed. We do this thing over and over about. By the way, we do it about 200 times a day where she pretends she's falling out of the bed, which is awesome about the first 50 times. But, if you're a parent, you have to do repetition is, I am losing my mind. What am I saying? We've had a lot of water balloon baseball in the back. We have a little backyard, and we do say hi to the neighbors. By the way, we moved to a neighborhood where we can see the houses. We always lived with a big wall, and we do have a wall, but you can see the neighbors. And when this is over, we're going to have friends. And they have kids, and we've yelled at them, from 12 feet away. And a lady did some, by the way, the moms are like, they're walking close. There's a lot of very attractive moms. I have to say.
Do they know who you are? Do they know who you are, these attractive moms? Do they say,
yeah. They do. They do. And I make sure, me and my kids are on social media a lot. And, because I'm a 61-year-old single dad with a 7-year-old. And, I've been divorced 4 times. And people would ask me, do you plan on getting married again? And I'd say no. But, of course, you don't make plans like that. But, hi, guys. I have kids walking. But I'm open to,
Tom, what's the over-under? How many? We're setting a line, over-under on how many of those moms that you've actually spent a night with. I'm saying 3.5. I take the over.
Oh, listen, it's been a long time. I haven't had a date in really 11 years.
What?
But it's been a long time.
What are you talking about? Wait, hold on a second here. Wait, no, hold on. You're not going to get away with that. You're telling me you haven't had a date. You're Tom Arnold. You're a very successful career. You're famous. You're telling me you haven't had a hot date. I don't believe you. You haven't had a hot date in 11 years.
I tell you don't. I'm telling you what. You can't bring a person into this thing. For a long time it was, fighting for the kids and doing all this stuff. And you just got to be ready. You don't just bring a person into that. You got to be ready, and you got to think, were they ready? But the time is when this virus thing is over, and
you know, and it, with that, then I read.
But Tom, you have a hot. Let's just hypothetical. You have a hot neighbor that just moved in there. She's a hot cougar. You're taking a walk, and all of a sudden you run into her, and she comes on to you. You're telling me you wouldn't go on a date with her?
On a date? Are you? There's no dating in
Oh,
California.
okay, fair enough.
Maybe if she's down at. I have gone to, Target's so open, you can run in there. Listen, if something happens outside, I'm all for it. You know, if there's a pile of wood, there's a snake in there, I might have, listen, magic happens. You know, they say social distancing, but I've never talked to more people in my life. I've never made more friends than, a neighbor walked by, this Iranian older lady. She had a younger, very attractive woman with her. And I was in the driveway cleaning out my car. We started chatting, and she's like, she needs to be with you. She her friend is like, she's setting me up, and she said, she's a beautician. And I said, I need a haircut. She needs to get in, to please come in. And then about 20 minutes later, I realized she's a dietitian. And she was saying, you're fat, and you need to be with this woman, because I paid, this thing, she wasn't saying she wants to be with you in any other way except you are very fat and you need to spend time with her. So, but I think it's, there's a lot of great things about this.
Sure.
My kids, I may be their teacher this next year. We've got all my sports memorabilia. I've got very little left because it's all about the kids. I used to go to games, and my friend wrote me last night, who are you picking tonight? I go, what is tonight? Are the sports back on? It was the draft.
It sucks, isn't it? I know it sucks. I want to ask you a little bit about these press conferences, because some people in the comedy world are saying it's almost like a Saturday Night Live comedy, sketch where he's going after these. What do you make of it?
Say something about your mayor there. Hold on. Was her dad the mayor for 100 years?
Oh, God. Oscar Goodman. No, that's her husband, Oscar. What did you make of that Carolyn Goodman interview?
Oh my God, it's all like the Trump stuff where you just don't make any sense, and nobody really wants to say what they want to say. But they're like, yeah, we want everybody to come back, and we want to come back, and they're thinking about we'll wait till one restaurant gets to the devil. They're all stupid. They don't make any sense. It's because Trump is so stupid. He's exactly like he was 30-some years ago when I met him. And he's exactly.
Didn't he try to steal your girl? Can you tell that story? Didn't Donald Trump once try to steal your date? You there, Tom? Did we lose you?
No. Well, no. No, but when we. Oh, am I here?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tom. Guys? Yeah, you're there. Go ahead.
You're here, Tom.
Okay. Yeah, I was so offended by you saying it. No, but I can't think. I know this. We went to he and Melania and Mike and one of I went to the pediatric AIDS big Oscar thing together. The next night he asked me the Playboy Mansion to meet McDougal, and of course I am also a scumbag. There and his daughter. That was when he had done my. No, he was fine when he was that guy. He'd come on the sports show and yeah, but everybody who knew him was like, oh, this guy is. Well, he's exactly like he is now. Like if there's any bad news, he's not gonna. He's president. He's terrible because the truth about this, people die. Because that's going to look bad on him. The apprentice had to edit out everything. They had to tell him what to say, and everybody knows it. He's going to quit before November, by the way. 100%.
You think so?
He's going to be, 100%.
Really?
100%, but there's no way. It's getting so bad. There's no way, because there are facts. The thing about the virus, it's a real deal. And you can't lie about it, and you can't edit it out. And he's getting more frenzied and frenzied. He's already asking people how he quits. Oh, there's no way.
Wow.
You can fake a lot of things, but this is a real deal, and you just can't fake it. He fire people. He could do this and that, but people, this is a real health thing, and he just can't make it about himself. He can't fake it, and he's getting so frustrated. And yeah, he's going to quit 100%. And then he'll say he was the best president ever, and people were bam and did everything right. And no, he will absolutely don't quit. And I'm sure he's preparing. No, I know he's talking to people about it, but it's not his fault. He's always been like this. He has a personality disorder, and it's the people around his fault because they do this. Everybody knows.
They enable him.
And when you have that narcissistic personality, yeah. And they're like, "Oh, we're making our money," but this thing is a real deal, and you can't fudge it.
All right, Tom. Let's say hypothetically that
he'll quit 100%.
let's say that Donald Trump does quit.
Yeah.
All right, Tom. Let's say that Donald Trump does quit. Does Mike Pence run in 2020? And do you think he wins, or is it Joe Biden? And you talked about people being stupid. You could make the argument that Joe Biden isn't exactly mentally there right now either.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. Anybody but Trump. Think about Joe Biden. You're right. He's not at his best. He's going to have a very good vice president. He's got people around him, but Trump is just, you just see he's just out of control. I mean, Joe Biden is going to surround himself with excellent, honorable, decent people who are going to put this thing back together. But Trump he'll take the whole thing for his own. He'll just take it right in the grave, fire everybody decent, and just lie about everything. And he'll start something with China, or he's weeping about the North Korea guy being ill and sad in his letters.
The love letters, yeah.
What he will do.
Yeah, no, that's true.
The best thing for America or people or my children who might get the virus or people, that. And so, I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is not.
I'll be honest with you. Tom. I love getting your take on politics, but it's a lot more fun when I hear about the cougars in your neighborhood that are hitting on you. I really want to hear more about that.
Listen, man, they haven't yet, but I'm telling you, I still got game. I'm telling you, and I started a podcast with my young assistant because we started a podcast that's called Two in the Bush. And it comes up. We'll put it live on Monday. I'll tell you what. She's amazing, Sasha Jax, and she's such a young comedian, and she's such a great assistant. And man, she's just busty. Seeing some of the videos we've been putting up, and
wow.
And my friends are like, "Holy hell! How did you get her? She's amazing, and she's closer to my kid's age." But I'll tell you, she is.
Hey, give out that information. Give out that
podcast.
Give out that information. How do people listen to this podcast? You said it's going to come out on Monday.
Listen to our podcast. Well, I think we're going to start by doing. I don't know how we'll put it up on my Instagram and by different things and iTunes and things like that. I should know how to do this better. I should have this better prepared. I'll make sure people know, and I'll get back at you guys.
Oh, is that your kid?
Okay, son. My son got into my Amazon account, and if you talk to that Alexa, it just describes something, she will send it to your house. Let me tell you guys, it's been a lot with these kids here.
Do you think your kids will ever grow up? Will your kids ever grow up one day and say, "Dad, did you ever sleep with Jamie Lee Curtis?"
Well, no, but listen, man. Listen. Hi, guys. Hi, they're both in here now.
I'm sorry, that was a very inappropriate question.
No, I just wonder what they think about things because they, we've been going through my trucks and stuff, and I will say this: you don't have to, because in the movies and TV and in real life, I've had a lot of weddings, and you don't have to. You can put up your best wedding photos in your house, whatever you want. And you don't have to keep that in your trunk because, I'm embarrassed that didn't work out. Chris Farley was the best man at my second wedding.
Was he really? Oh, that's cool.
Wedding. So I got that up on the wall. That was a beautiful wedding. A lot of money was spent at that wedding. There's some great shots. My third wedding, you should see all the politicians in my
Tom,
third
I
wedding.
hate to. Tell me if this is going too far. I hate to ask you this question, but since you're bringing up all your ex-wives, I have to do it. How much money do you think you've given in your life? I would imagine you've probably given.
You're talking about divorces?
Yeah, divorces. I would imagine. You're a man that's made a lot of money. You're very successful. What have you given to say, like, are we talking 20, 30, 40 million dollars you've had to pay out to all these
keep in
ex-wives?
mind the benchmark right now is Jeff Bezos' wife, who just took him for $55 billion.
Well,
so don't feel that
She
bad, Tom.
deserved that. She deserves it. She deserves every penny.
Do you feel resentment that you?
They started their business together.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I would imagine you've had to pay out 20, 30 million dollars to some of your. I
Well,
mean,
I didn't take any no alimony from Roseanne. That's where I blew it because we had no prenup, and it's a California is a community property state, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna, I got a movie called The Stupid's coming up, and True Life hasn't even come out. I'm just gonna leave it all. I believe in myself, and I'm a man, and now that I look back on it, I could have had $50-60 million. I was like, what an idiot! I should have done, but no, but I'm fine with it. But I'll tell you, the truth is, you do this, you do the right thing with people,
right?
You feel good about, but until you have kids, this is the first time I've had children. That's when it gets nonsense,
right?
Because then you say, well, there's always lawyers and family law stuff and back and forth. Yeah, then it gets very expensive because then people get. It becomes more.
How is your relationship though with your ex-wives? I mean, I would imagine you don't talk to Roseanne much these days, but I mean, like with all of your ex-wives, I mean, do you maintain any relationship with them? Or?
I want the best for them. The great thing about all three of my first ones is we tried to have kids together. The first three,
right?
We failed, and they had kids immediately with their. They got married pretty quick. The guys that had kids the regular way. We tried in vitro the first three wives.
All right, I have to ask you that. What would a child, if and again, Dad, if I'm going too far, let me know. If you had a child with Roseanne Barr, what would that child be doing right now?
Well, geez, who knows? I'm grateful that. I'm so grateful that I have my kids. I'm so grateful that I'm not quarantined with Roseanne. I'm so grateful. But I'm grateful the way, because there is a God, things turned out the way they're supposed to. My kids, when I was 18 and worked at the meatpacking plant, my 17-year-old pregnant, and I had to go ask her dad, who's this giant farmer, if I could marry his daughter, who was in high school, and he wanted to murder me. And it turned out she was lying, thank God. And from then on, I always wanted to have a family, but it worked out exactly like it was supposed to. And I'm glad, Mom, and I'm grateful the way it turned out, being a dad. And Roseanne, it was funny because Roseanne's kid, Buck, that she had with the bodyguard guy after me, I'm grateful to him too. But that kid, Roseanne told me the one time we talked that he was a big fan of mine, and it really pissed her off. And so, however it turns out, I got to be a stepfather to her kids for a few years.
And listen, let me say this, Tom. Let me just say this in your defense. You sound like you're a great dad, and you're doing a great job with your kids. I mean, we have fun here, and we ask some funny and ridiculous questions, but in all truthfulness, you're a good dude, and you sound like you're a really good family man. And I've heard that about you, by the way. You're just a good dude. I just want to say this. Please be safe, you and your family. I say this to everyone, and I wish the best for you and your family. I always appreciate it when you take the time to come on this show. I know you don't have to, and we really do appreciate that. And please stay safe, my friend, and I'll tell Trumpy you said hello, okay?
Hey, and thank you very much. That's why I love Avenatti, too.
Yeah.
That's why I really have talked to him about it.
Yeah.
And same thing with Michael Cohen and his family.
Sure.
Those guys, they're good family.
They are.
My heart goes out to you guys' family, too.
Thank you.
Be safe and take care of yourself.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate your time, my man.
Tom.
Thank you so much. There you go, Tom Arnold. I feel like I love Tom, by the way. I love talking to that guy. I feel like I could talk to that guy for hours.
I don't party, but if I was going to party,
Tom is awesome.
I would absolutely party with
I just love
Tom
these
Arnold.
stories of he said all these hot women that are in his neighborhood. And like you said, he hasn't gone on a date in 11 years, but he did not say that he's not sleeping with any of his neighbors. Oh, God, that just killed me.
I was never a big fan of him back in the day when.
I'm glad you didn't say that when he was on.
No, I'm just saying, like, he was Roseanne's husband.
Yeah.
And maybe a part of that, he will always be Roseanne's husband, even though they've been apart for years and years.
But the quote of that interview,
he in his own right has made a career for himself.
Oh, yeah.
And
Did you
he's
hear what
actually
he
a pretty
said?
funny guy.
Did you hear what he? Besides the joke where he said, "I'm glad I'm not in quarantine with Roseanne Barr." He also, I asked him how much money he's paid out to his ex-wives, and he kind of alluded. He said, "Well, I'd have another $50 or $60 million."
Unbelievable.
50 or 60
He did say that.
$million.
He did say that.
Yes.
So do you think that he probably he never had a prenup? He just kept getting married without prenups?
You know what? We should have. He probably would have answered that question.
That would be a questionable decision.
He probably would have answered that if we asked
Yeah.
him. I tried to ask him as many inappropriate questions as I could, but in a short period of time. But anyways, Tom Arnold, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the sports angle of things. Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports will be joining us next. Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson might be on the golf course sooner than you think. We'll get to that with Mike Babcock. Coming up next, you're listening to the Vegas Take.
With Advance Auto Parts, you can get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. We have a wide variety of parts in stock, and you can get them fast. Order online with Advance Same Day and get your part with same-day pickup in-store, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Now there's a new way to help out a Home for Spot, Southern Nevada's volunteer animal rescue. Sign up at your local Smith's for their Inspiring Donations program, and a portion of the proceeds whenever you shop will go to a Home for Spot animal rescue. Just go to smithsfoodanddrug.com/inspire to sign up for free, and a portion of every purchase you make will go back to a Home for Spot animal rescue in Las Vegas, helping to find new homes for rescue dogs. For more information on a Home for Spot, go to spot.com.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Virus update. The House is closing in on a vote on a $485 billion package for small business loans, hospitals, and more testing. Speaker Nancy Pelosi says Democrats made it better.
I'm very pleased that it was transformed from a bill 2 weeks ago on the floor where the leader in the Senate said, this is it, 250. We're not doing anything else.
House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy also giving it his approval.
We did not ask for this virus. We did not invite it. It came from a distant land. But together, we will defeat it, not only for our country, but for the world.
The U.S. Navy says that after weeks of work, all of the sailors on the USS Theodore Roosevelt aircraft carrier have been tested for coronavirus. 840 crew members tested positive out of a crew of about 4,800 since the ship was sidelined in Guam. I'm Jan Johnson.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Letterman Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Upwork, when you need in-demand talent on demand. Later on tonight, part of the Spaghetti Bowl is going to be closed. Around midnight, US 95 southbound, the ramp that leads to northbound 15, is going to be closed until early morning for construction. Upwork has the world's largest network of independent professionals like designers, developers, data scientists, you name it. When you need in-demand talent on demand, Upwork is how. I'm Danny Sullivan in the KDON Traffic Center.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
I'm attorney Paul Powell. A lot of lawyers promise a lot of things. No fee unless we win. The consults are free. Of course they offer that stuff. All lawyers do that. But will they promise not to take more money than you at the end of your case? No. When you call me, that answer's yes. I'll never take more money than you, and I put it in writing.
Call 728-5500 or go to paulpowell.com.
I really can help.
Paul Powell. More lawyer, less fee.
Some restrictions apply. Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
COVID-19 has changed the way that we live, and Disinfecting Solution is here to help, ensuring that your home, business, and even your vehicle remain sterilized and disinfected so you, your family, and your staff can feel safe now and even beyond this pandemic. The Disinfecting Solution staff are all trained in accordance to CDC standards, using state-of-the-art thermal foggers and only hospital-grade sanitizing products, safe for both children and pets. Call Disinfecting Solution 866-800-7768 or visit them online at disinfectingsolution.com. Disinfecting Solution, sanitation for spaces, service for people.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro, coming at you live on a Thursday. Yeah, we were just talking a little bit off there. I don't think Carolyn Goodman is going to be doing any more interviews anytime soon. I could be wrong on that one. I don't know. But as you know, it was Carolyn Goodman that said that, sports should be back in Vegas. Let's have the Golden Knights. Let's have everything going on here. I think there's a lot of people in the sports world that probably would disagree with that, at least right now, even though we want sports selfishly. I don't know. Let's ask this guy on the line. It's been a little while since he's been on. That would be Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. Mike, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Doing all right. Before we get to the sports stuff, I got to ask you: Did you see that Carolyn Goodman Vegas interview? What did you make of that? If you did see it?
No, I didn't, Brian. What happened?
Well, it made national news. It's all over the world. I mean, people like Jimmy Kimmel, who, as you know, spent a lot of time here in Las Vegas, is asking.
Well,
for
he grew
her,
up here.
Yeah, asking for her removal. Basically, she just made her. Anderson Cooper made her look like a clown. It was a 25-minute interview.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Mike.
I did see it. Her name slipped my mind. I did see. She said some crazy stuff about Corona. Huh?
She did. She said quite a few crazy things. That's absolutely, and I know that there's some celebrities and people that have been commenting on social media. Let's talk a little Tom Brady, because there's a couple stories that came out that you guys are covering. What is this trespassing story that I hear that he went into the wrong house? I could just imagine if if you're sitting at home and all of a sudden Tom Brady tries to get into your house. What the hell happened?
Yeah, it's so funny. So April 7th, a couple days after Tom had moved into Derek Jeter's house in Tampa, he was trying to go over to Byron Leftwich's house, who is the offensive coordinator for the Bucs. Problem is, Tom walked into the wrong house. He went to Byron's next door neighbor. So you have this guy who is sitting at his kitchen, and Tom Brady doesn't knock. He just walks right into the house. And so this guy's at his kitchen table. It's a long hallway, kitchen table, and he's looking at Tom Brady. Tom Brady's looking at him, and they just have this moment where neither of them know what the hell is going on. And Tom is like, I'm looking for Byron. Am I in the wrong house? And the guy's like, yeah, he lives next door. So we have a picture on the website if people go look at it. The houses are essentially identically the same, except Byron built an addition on the house, but they look exactly the same. And that doesn't, that doesn't kind of explain why he had the wrong address. But nonetheless, it was just a really funny moment. And this guy was not mad; he was just a Bucs fan. He couldn't believe that Tom Brady was standing inside of his house.
I have a couple footballs in my house, Mike, and I'm trying to think, what would I do if Tom Brady got there? The first question would be, can I get 10 minutes with Giselle? And the second question would be, can you sign a football for me? What would you do, Mike? Mike, what would you do if Tom Brady knocked on your door? I mean, would you think work first, and would you get your camera out, or or like what was the first thing you would do or think of if Tom Brady knocked on your door?
I feel like I would try to get him to stay, right? Like have a drink with him or something, or hang out with him a little bit, right?
Well, what time was it?
Kind of froze up. That's a good question.
Because if it's during the day. If it's during the day in a nice sunny Florida day, but if it's say it's like what happened with Bryce DeJohn Jones, Brian, remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I mean that was at night. That was kind of the same situation.
We got nothing else to do, right? Everyone's sitting at home and have a drink. I mean, if you don't want to drink alcohol, if it's too early, have a
and listen, Tom, I know you've been having some issues with your wife. Listen, let me give it a shot. Then he'd probably punch me in the face. So this story about
he would,
and
he would be justified in doing so.
And I would deserve that. Tom Brady now, reuniting with Gronk. Nobody knew for sure if Gronk was going to come back. And we know he's had some injuries, been plagued with injuries. First of all, do you think Gronk could still play at anywhere near the level he once did? That's my first question. And what do you make of these guys reuniting?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were surprised by it. I know there was a lot of talk last year. People thought he was going to come back, once, mid-season, if not that when the playoffs rolled around. But I think that his body was really in a tough place. And even if you listened to him talk the other day, he said that after the Super Bowl, he could barely walk for weeks. So he was really in rough shape. And he took last year to rest. And, he got with the marijuana products and the CBD stuff. And he says that that's made a big difference for him. So, just having talked to people who are close to Tom Brady and to Gronk, around 2 months ago or so is when I think he started to get that itch back, and then him and Tom started to have conversations, and then that's when it started to happen. I do think if you listen to him talk, Brian, that he says his body is back to tip-top shape. I think he might actually be better than he was the year before last in New England.
That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, because look, 1 year, when you start getting 2, 3 years, when you're talking Percy Harvin time off, then that's when I start to doubt that you can pick it back up. But he'll miss one season. He says he's feeling better, so I wouldn't be surprised. He's still relatively young, so I really won't be surprised if he looks really good out there and looks like basically peak condition Gronk.
That'd be fun to watch. It really would, and I hope he is.
I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be great. So I want to talk to you a little golf because first of all, the PGA Tour might be the first professional sport to come back. It's still a little bit of speculation, but it makes sense to me. Now I remember, if you remember, Mike. The Tiger Woods Phil, the match, which was in Las Vegas, and I was extremely lucky. I was able to walk 18 holes with two of arguably the best golfers, best in maybe Tiger Woods probably would go down as the best with Jack Nicklaus, but Phil is certainly a Hall of Famer in the top 10 of all time. I was able to watch those guys in Vegas play that 18-hole match. It was so much fun. And now we got this charity tournament. I don't think they've announced yet where it's going to be. It's going to be Tiger, Phil, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning. This is really cool, and I think especially when there's not a lot of sports going on, I think this is going to get a ton of watches.
So do I. This is going to be huge. I think people are dying for sports that aren't 30 years old. Not that that's not fun to watch, but people want something new. And just to see, Peyton and Tom Brady interact with each other, and Tiger and Phil, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I remember when you were at the golf tournament because you saw all the money, didn't you, Brian?
I gave you guys that picture. Yeah, I took that picture, and I remember, if you're for people that don't know, the Tiger Phil match it was $9 million. I walk into the clubhouse. This was the press conference a couple days before the match. And then my friend says, hey, you might want to walk in here because Phil's in here talking to one of his guys, and I want to show you some money. And I didn't really know what that meant at first. I walk into the locker room, and I see $9 million cash in the locker room. And by the way, this wasn't $100 bills showcased with dollar bills underneath it. There was $9 million, at least I was told, that was in there. And I'm just looking at this money, and there's no security. Okay, that was the weird thing. There was literally no security.
You're more honest than I am.
Yeah, Phil Mickelson was in there with a friend talking, and I didn't want to take his picture. I just kind of snuck in there and took a picture. I mean, when you see any money anywhere, there's usually security around. We're talking $9 million cash. This was not fake money. And the picture I sent you, I mean, as you can see, there's nobody around. There's no security or anything.
No,
I'm
it was just you in that room.
Yeah, it was. I was
that they did not have guards.
So I thought to myself, what would happen if I took a mil? I don't need $9 million. I'm not that greedy. Just put $1 million in my briefcase, which I don't know if I could have fit that, maybe, and just walk out of there. Could I have made it?
Did you have a briefcase?
I did. Well, not a briefcase, but I had a recorder, and I had a little bag. I had a little backpack on me. Yeah.
I think you maybe might have been able to fit $150K in that.
I think I could have gotten more in there.
You really?
Yeah, I do.
No.
Hey,
I do.
Even if it's $150K, you just thought you were going to a golf tournament, right?
Right.
You a couple people, and then you walk out with the $150K.
Yeah, trust me.
Not bad.
Trust me, Mike. I'm a horrible human being, so the thought definitely crossed my mind.
I can confirm that.
Yeah, and then I just said
definitely crossed his mind at least 5 times. And he plotted out ways to.
But the difference is I'm being sarcastic, and JD's actually telling the truth. That's the difference. But yeah, instead I just said, why don't I just take a picture and just sell a picture to TMZ?
True.
I just figured it, Brian. They're racked up too. even you just grab 3 and 4 of those wraps, those are probably like $100,000 each.
Listen, I regret it every day. I regret it every day, Mike.
You
There's no
messed up
question.
there.
Yeah, I know. I did. I deserve that. There's no question. But yeah, going back to this golf tournament, it's going to. Do you know? I know they mentioned that it might be in South Carolina. Is there any mention of Vegas that you heard of? Because I haven't heard that.
No, I heard the same thing, that South Carolina was an option. I hadn't heard anything about Vegas, so that would seem to make sense.
Damn
too,
it!
Right?
Damn it!
Really,
That sucks.
This is safe. Hopefully it is in Vegas, so you get to go back.
Oh God, that would be the best.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Watching arguably 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time and 2 of the best golfers of all time in the same golf group, I'd be in heaven. That'd be.
I just want to see how they interact with each other. I'm so into.
Well, I'm going to tell you this.
It'll be like that episode of Entourage.
I'm going to tell you this.
With Tom Brady and Turtle, when Turtle refuses to shake his hand.
I've been around Tiger Woods before. I was a few feet away from Tiger Woods during that 18-hole match with Phil. He's just, even though he's a great, he's going to go down as the best probably golfer of all time, he just doesn't have, Phil has the personality for this. I'm just being honest with you. Tiger does not. He doesn't interact very much. He's not very funny on the golf course. Phil is the opposite. I think Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are great. They're going to be great for this. I think they're going to bust balls. I don't know. Listen, you have to have Tiger involved in this because it's Tiger Woods, but he's just not. I'm hoping that maybe we can get a better personality Tiger Woods in this thing. I'm hoping.
Well, what do you think the matchups will be?
I'm wondering if once he gets around 3 other super famous guys, if maybe he lets his guard down and maybe his personality comes down a little bit.
I hope so, because I know Phil, I was walking a few feet away from Phil and Tiger, and Phil tried to interact with him on a number of occasions, and Tiger just wasn't having much
Laser
of it.
focus, Brian, laser focus.
Tiger played like crap. In fact, they both did. They didn't make any birdies. It was not pretty golf. But let's talk, speaking of not pretty, let's talk about Roger Goodell. Well, his wife is very pretty, but he's going to be broadcasting the draft tonight, the NFL draft, from his basement. Now, Roger Goodell is worth more money than me in 100 lifetimes over. But what do you think his basement looks like, and how is this broadcast? How is this going to go tonight?
Well, he went on Good Morning America this morning, so we got a little glimpse of what the basement looks like. He's got like a little man cave thing. It looks like they tried to make the set look nice as they could. He's got I noticed a little Mike Ditka bobblehead behind him, which that threw me off a little bit. Didn't expect that, but I'm just looking forward to this thing because I think everyone who has been working from home just know it. You have technical issues and things go wrong, and the internet's not good, and I know something is going to go wrong tonight, right? And I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. And
That's a good
someone's
point.
going to get hacked? It can't go smoothly. It's just impossible. And I know they have, a lot of tech people, and I know they're working hard at the NFL to try to make sure this goes off without a hitch, but something's going to go wrong. But yeah, he's sitting in his basement. He said he had for his daughters have a bunch of dolls and stuff down there usually. So Roger Goodell, I guess he said him and his wife had to clear off the dolls and bring the dolls upstairs so there weren't these creepy, weird dolls in the background at the NFL draft. But it should be fun tonight.
I want to have fun with this, and I want to ask my co-host and Mike just a few quick questions on bets that you could make legally in Las Vegas on the draft. JD, I'll start with you, and then I'll go to Mike. I like this bet. Will the New England Patriots draft a quarterback in round number 1? Yes is 2-1. No, minus 250. JD, you go first.
No.
Mike, what do you say?
No.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, definitely not.
Will a running back be drafted in round 1? Yes, minus 155. No, plus 135.
Yes.
What do you think, Mike?
Yes, too. I feel like I should just say something different. Maybe.
Well, I'm going to ask
I think DeAndre Swift and Jonathan Taylor both have a chance to go in the first round.
All right, these last two, I'm going to ask Mike first and then go to JD to be fair here. All right, offensive players taken in round 1. Over, under 16.5. What do you say, Mike?
Oh, man, over, under 16.5?
Yeah.
Let's go over.
Well, okay, JD, what do you say?
I'm going to say under. I think it ends at like 15 or 16.
Well, the over's minus 220.
There's a lot of really good defensive players in this draft. There's a lot of needs at defensive positions.
Last one. Defensive players taken in round 1. The over-under is 14.5. Mike, what do you say?
Well, I guess I go under because I just said
it has to.
Over on the I'll stay consistent.
All right, and I'm going over, and then Mike, I've got a bet for you. I will bet you $10 to win 1 cent that Joe Burrow goes number 1.
Wait, $10 to win 1 penny?
Yes.
That's correct me if my math is that's $500 to win $1, right? Is my math right? Or is that? I'm probably off.
That's wrong. It's $1,000.
I figured I'd get that
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. All right, let's. I'm going to take it. We've seen these crazy. We've seen like Laramie Tunsil. We've seen scandals on the draft day. I don't think Joe Burrow has anything like that, but I'm going to take the bet.
All right.
Well, Mike, I hope that Roger Goodell screws up multiple times, and I hope there's a lot of issues tonight, and I hope it gets embarrassed.
And then last question for you, Mike. I am not high on Tua Tagovailoa. He's a left-hand quarterback. He's only 6'1". I've never seen him step up in the pocket. He got a 13 on his Wonderlic, which was astonishing to me. That was astonishingly bad. And and he's injury prone. He's been injured, several times in his career. How far do you think he drops, or do you think he drops?
I don't think he's going to drop. I think people are seemingly tripping over themselves to even move up to draft him. And if you listen to a lot of the so-called experts, they've essentially inducted him into the Hall of Fame. He's got a better arm than Aaron Rodgers, and he's got all these superlatives. So, I'm with you. I'm very nervous about his injuries. This
Absolutely,
guy's hurt. I do agree. He's small. I think he does have a world of talent, but you're right. He's tiny. The 13 is not a good thing on the Wonderlic, and the biggest concern for me is all the injuries.
No doubt. Well, Mike, I hope you stay safe out there, man. And Cal, I like your governor, actually. I think he's doing a good job, and always appreciate it when you take some time to join us, my man. Enjoy the draft tonight. I know we will, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up with you next week, my man. Always appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks, fellas. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Mikey.
Mike Babcock, TMZ Sports, does a good job. Yeah, you can actually make some legal bets. There were actually 100 bets up on William Hill yesterday on the draft tonight. Now they only have 4 up there. That's a little bizarre. But anyway, might have some fun betting on some NFL draft props tonight. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back in 60 seconds, it is time for our hate mail segment of the day. Time for people to make fun of Brian. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, K-Dawn.
I have 2 dogs, Sam and Bailey. Both are golden retrievers. Poor Sam, he was a mess. Always itching. His paws were soaking wet all day from just constant licking. He had bald spots on his back. I just don't like putting shots and steroids into your dog all the time. DINOVITE.com. Dinovite is nutrition. Probably 2 weeks after he started Dinovite, I started seeing great improvements, and today 99% of his issues are non-existent. It's amazing stuff. Since Bailey has been 12 weeks old, he's been a Dinovite dog, and he has 0 issues today. He won't eat his food without Dinovite. When I get out the Dinovite, my dogs actually salivate, like I'm getting them a treat. They drool over it. Dinovite is the best thing you can do for your dog.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dinovite from DINOVITE.com.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, K-Dawn, the talk of Las Vegas. Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, K-Dawn.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. I tried to forget about that story that Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports just brought up. I'm going, the Tiger Phil golf thing, and I'm at the press conference, and I'm literally standing next to $9 million, and there's not one security guard in there. And I'm thinking the only person that can tattletale on me is Phil Mickelson. That was and he's Mr. Stock Boy. He's the last person.
He might.
He's the last person that should tattletale on anybody when it comes to money.
Well, I think he would cut you a deal. I think he would work something out.
Well, I think he certainly worked out a deal with Tiger Woods. There's no chance that Phil took that entire $9 million.
Me too.
No chance.
Can I tell you a 2-second story here? Back in the day, I worked on the Golden Globe Awards, and I found myself in the ballroom, and after it was all emptied out, someone, I don't know how you do this, left behind a Golden Globe statue.
What?
And I really debated putting that thing down my pants and walking out of the Beverly Hilton with the Golden Globe.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: if you put that down,
there were cameras everywhere. I've never seen security like that. It was Super Bowl level security, and I'm like, my luck, someone's gonna. Now it would almost be worth going to jail for, right?
Here's why I think you made a mistake there, because if you put that down your pants, you'd have a much better chance of getting dates.
Hey, did you
Two
actually?
reasons why I should have stolen.
Right? Did you actually pick it up and see how heavy?
Yeah, yes, I did.
How heavy was it?
But that was before they've made the statue bigger now.
Right.
It was a good heft. I guess. The Oscar award. I had a chance to hold an Oscar. That thing is heavy as hell.
Really?
That thing is super heavy.
That is awesome. Yeah. I had no
Anyway,
idea.
I could have a gold. I thought the upside. What a great conversation piece. You come into my house and there's a Golden Globe on my
You
mantle.
could have had a gold member.
You should have taken it.
But I was just
Which Golden Globe was it?
I would have called you gold member.
There's different
honestly,
categories.
I don't remember. It wasn't like Tom Hanks Golden Globe.
You know what? I'll be honest
It
with
was
you.
like one of the,
if it
you know.
said, if it said on the award "World's Shortest Producer," I would have been totally okay with
But
him
how do
taking
you
it.
how do you just leave the award show and forget your Golden Globe?
That's
Well,
a really bizarre.
If you've got 8 or 9 of them,
Yeah.
Do you remember
and
the
it's
scene?
not an Oscar.
Maybe.
Do you remember the scene from Sopranos where they rob an actress walking out with the gift bag from the Emmys?
Yes.
It's a very, very funny scene.
Yes.
Yeah, very
Fantastic.
Funny scene.
No.
All right, time
anyway,
for hate mail.
Time for some quick
Yes,
hate mail.
let's do it. We need some hate mail music
We'll
down
get
the
it.
road, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would
we're
be.
on
but-
a shoestring budget here.
Yeah.
But we'll get some. We'll get some
A
eventually.
shoestring budget. I like that.
First comment. Hi guys, how are you? Has Brian showered this week?
The answer is yes, because I've had some dates, so you're forced to shower. Well, you're not forced to shower, but I have. So the answer is yes, I have.
That joke never gets old.
And the best thing about Brian's dates is that they all are tested for coronavirus immediately before and after.
Well, that's definitely not true.
Which means that we can't get it from Brian's dates.
Okay,
we give it to Brian.
That's definitely not true. Although some of the people that I've been hanging out with have been tested, some have not.
New viewer to the show, R. Edwards writes, I'm sorry, I'm new to the show the last couple days, so no offense. Just curious, does this show always just consist of a guy on the left filibustering and interrupting the guy on the right?
Well, I mean, I think he needs to learn the definition of what a filibuster is. I certainly don't filibuster.
I think JD would agree with that guy.
Well, of course he would. Anybody that makes fun of me, he's gonna
it just depends on the show, on the context of the show.
but
Today's actually been a very,
if anybody,
Brian hasn't really interrupted me a lot this show.
If anybody filibustered, I'd say it was Tom Arnold. I couldn't get him to shut up.
Maybe that's what he meant.
I had to interrupt.
Maybe that's exactly the moment he tuned in. Was
Do
when
you
Tom
know that-
Arnold was. I
That's
thought he was a
actually
co-host.
possible.
Maybe
That's
he thought,
possible.
do you know there wasn't one question I asked where I didn't interrupted him? There wasn't one time where he stopped talking in that entire interview.
He just kept going. He would do about 5 to 7 second pauses, and then he would say and then he would start up again.
Okay, listen, I love Tom, but let's be honest here. How much cocaine has that guy done? How much drugs has Tom Arnold done in his life? I mean, we're talking. I mean, this is a
My
lot.
share and your share and your share and my share, for sure.
Maybe not campaign. He's done quite a bit, right? Okay, that was a horrible joke. I'm sorry, campaign. Go
Very,
ahead. go ahead.
very inappropriate.
This guy calls himself Brian S. He's kind of he's trolling you.
Right.
You're Brian
It's
S.
very original, by
He's
the way.
Brian S.
Which I can really appreciate.
Hey, I got an idea, guys. I'm going to be real funny. I'm watching this YouTube show, and this guy's name is Brian Shapiro. So I'm going to open up a fake Google account, and I'm going to call myself Brian S. Ha 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 ha! Oh, I'm so original. Go ahead, read his stupid comment. People,
That in and of itself is amusing.
Very
He-
original.
He actually brings the goods in terms of comments. Hi, my name is Brian Shapiro, and I'm a moron.
well, I would say anybody. I would say anybody who tries to impersonate me is a moron. I certainly agree with that. So that Brian S. is a moron.
He
I
actually
agree.
he actually had a couple more. And
Oh,
I
I
don't want
can't
to give
wait.
him too much credit, but these are funny. He also writes, "I'm Brian Shapiro, and I have a crappy apartment." And then also,
I'm happy.
I'm
with
Brian Shapiro. I just turned 40, and the 40-year-old virgin was based on my life story.
Well, I'll tell you what. I wouldn't have made it to 40 if I'd never had sex in my life. I'll tell you that right now. I'll tell you that right now. Is it bad a mood that I am in? If I was 40 years old and I was actually a virgin, I would not be able to do this radio show right now. I'd be in a psych ward. So I'm just saying, as OJ would say, I'm just saying. Go
Next
ahead,
comment. Of course, from Nerman. Creepy-looking ginger people have no right to be on the radio. Hashtag get Brian Shapiro off the air.
So let me just get this right with this opinion. We're basing it on looks on whether you're allowed to be on the radio or not. Well, if that's the case, Rush Limbaugh should have never been allowed to be on the radio his entire career. So or Howard Stern for that matter. There's a lot of very successful radio people that I would not call Brad Pitt. So let's just put it that way. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Stein. Next.
It says, fewer things are more disgusting than watching Brian put his fingers around his nose and then dip them towards his mouth.
Oh, fingers around my nose. I thought he was going to say something else. I thought fingers.
I think he's actually got the two of you confused. You're the one who dips your fingers.
That's
in
true.
your
You
nose.
pick your nose every day.
No, that's Brian. That's not me.
I've
at all.
never seen a finger go that far up a nostril.
Look me.
No way.
Well, again, I'm glad you said nostril.
Fallacy.
All right, go ahead. Next.
This is for you, JD.
Oh, I'm ready.
Hey, JD. Since you're being viewed on YouTube, you might think you would take the time out of your morning and shower. That greasy bedhead is atrocious.
Fact. I did not shower this morning. I do appreciate the observation.
You didn't shower?
Did not shower.
Did you masturbate?
Did not. Well, no.
It's a fair question.
That's a ridiculous question.
No, it's a fair
Where
question.
did that come from?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, okay. No,
Some guys do that in the morning.
No, I did not masturbate.
Well, if you did and didn't take a shower, then I'd be offended.
Yeah,
by
that would be odd. But
Okay.
no, I did not do that. I just woke up. I got here early.
Why are you so offended
which
by that
I'm not happy
question?
with. I'm not happy that I had to get here at 8:45, but I got here at 8:45.
It's
and
a
here I
tough
am.
job, I know.
But I did not shower.
Next comment. Nothing screams failure quite like a small, cramped apartment with movie posters on the walls. Just saying.
What else should I put on the walls? Your wife's underwear? Go ahead. Next.
Very good.
I'm getting there.
You're getting there.
Tucker Carlson writes, nobody wants to call into your stupid show, and you sound pathetic begging people to do it.
Nobody wants to call into our show, yet every single time I open up the phone lines, we get phone calls. So that makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, next. Let's go back to our busy phone
And
calls.
I believe that our station, KDWN, just tied KXNT.
Well, we don't need to talk about ratings.
In ratings.
Nobody
So
cares.
Our ratings are...
Nobody cares.
Well, I'll be honest.
We care, but
they're,
not a lot.
They're through the roof.
Yeah. By the way, the reason why there are 8 phone lines instead of when we started this show 3 is because of us. So that's actually true. I could attest to that. The reason why there are more phone lines is because of the calls we do get. All right, go ahead, Stein. Next.
Stein dresses like an 8-year-old or a 45-year-old man who tries too hard. Thank you.
Wow, so our producer's even getting a little bit
Yeah, that
of
was
it.
for me.
Wow, I like that. Isn't there a hashtag starting Fire Stein? Didn't you tell me? There's a hashtag
Yeah,
out
someone
there.
on here wrote just simply hashtag Firestein.
That's it.
Yeah.
No comment or anything.
Which I appreciate. I would like to see that get some traction.
You're getting a little bit of love. I like that.
It needs to be spread around. That being said, by the way, Todd McShay has the coronavirus.
Todd McShay?
Todd McShay. And he is not doing any draft coverage.
That is very, very interesting.
He is
By the way,
recovering from the coronavirus.
Speaking of football, since we only have about a minute left to go here, tomorrow on the show, looking forward to having him on. It'll actually be the first time he's come on with us, and we appreciate that. UNLV football coach Marcus Arroyo will be joining us, and going to be very interested to see if, in fact, a UNLV player is drafted in round 1 today. What do you guys think about that?
Round 1?
No chance, right?
Oh, no.
What round?
I think Javin White's got a chance to go between the 4th and the 7th round.
All right, fair enough.
Probably the 5th or the.
Well,
round
round one would probably be 50-1.
No,
that's not going to happen.
50 to 1.
Maybe 100-1.
I would say 10,000 to 1.
That much?
Yeah. There's no chance that UNLV has anyone drafted in the first.
1,000 to 1.
We have many more comments we didn't get to, but keep them coming. We'll get to them tomorrow.
All right. So as I mentioned, UNLV head football coach Marcus Arroyo. I think we're going to take a little bit more time to take phone calls today because I know there's a lot of people that called in that we didn't get a chance to get to. So we will try to do that a little bit more tomorrow. Obviously, if Mayor Goodman decides to do another interview, we'll probably cover it. But we're going to take a break for 21 hours. Everybody, I hope everyone out there enjoys the weather. It's a beautiful day today. Stay safe, everybody. Sean Hannity coming up next.
For Sean Hannity, KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media